We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Okay, guys, welcome back. Anonymous Bites back. It is March 3, 2020. I hope the title is correct for you guys. Uh, so we're doing a COVID-19 special coronavirus because there's a lot going on. Of course, again, all over the world, it's hitting countries hard. And we'll try to give the reliable updates about the situation without.
Yeah, I mean,
No, go
I'd
ahead.
like to really start like just dead into it right away. Tyler, you're in California right now. I mean, just give us the lowdown on what is going on in the streets. I know you work in healthcare. Everybody's praying for you to we're keeping you in our thoughts that you stay safe. But tell us what's going on the ground.
Yeah, ever since the USN Mercy started coming by, I've been seeing V-22 helicopters flying over the city. I didn't see any today. But downtown, there's not many people in the street. You're still seeing cars go back and forth. South end of the 110, I've been seeing signs saying that you're not allowed to go past a certain point to go to the USN Mercy. Somebody told me that they're only doing transports over to there. I guess some people were reporting that some of the ICUs were empty. That's not true. Maybe that is in some of the hospitals, but most of the cases, from what I understand, are in the north part of Los Angeles, Cedars-Sinai, and some other places. We've been seeing a surge in the last few days on this side, and I do know internally what's been going on. So doctors were telling patients who didn't have symptoms that they weren't going to get tested, but they didn't have the instant tests ready. So they were still, I think they still are going through Quest Labs, but Quest Labs has about an 8-day delay because they're so backed up with everything in general testing. So they don't, so we're going to see spikes like we haven't seen before, but there's also more reports of people getting sick in the streets, and it's so bizarre where I'm at. The grocery stores are starting to get full again, but they're still missing certain things. Toilet paper is like a high commodity item. You can't get face masks. You can't buy gloves. If you can buy gloves, they're only selling them by the pair. My work has been handing them out to us, but we like other places have been told to reuse PPE equipment. There's not enough to go around.
No, I mean, that's something we're hearing from, I mean, every medical professional that I've talked to, and everyone that sent us videos and stories, and that you guys have been writing about as well, has told us that they're low or out of PPE. At the same time, our government, our officials, our leadership is telling us, oh, it's all good. We've got plenty of PPE, around and getting to places. What's the disconnect? Like, what's going on?
Well, I did see something. Well, what happened initially is that the suppliers were running out. They ran out of all for no fucking for some weird reason, and I just saw some post, I guess, on from Trump. As much as I hate to say this, I guess there was suppliers that were selling it to other countries because they thought it was a priority, and so I had to talk to my medical director, and I told them that 3M would sell us stuff, but we had to order in bulk. So they're offering stuff now, but I have no honest idea why there was such a shortage. I don't know.
How is it with your own production? Did they like start production already in the US?
Yeah, I guess Trump basically went over to 3M and said, "Hey, can you start pumping out masks?" And I guess they were.
Yeah, I don't trust any of that. Yeah, like 3M is such a dirty company. I put up red flags as soon as their name was mentioned. Right? This is the company that knowingly destroyed every single soldier's fucking eardrums that served. Right? And they knew that they did it. Right? Then denied it, and now they're paying out and lost a bunch of money from a class action lawsuit, and they're trying to make up their differences in profit.
Well, there's also been some weird stuff that's been going on. So at the hospitals, they were downgrading the N95s to the surgical masks, which make no sense to me because I don't use the surgical masks. I don't trust that shit. I use the N95s.
Surgical masks have like only 89% protection. Like I've seen the Cambridge
and they're cheaper.
University tests, and they say it's 89%. So it's a lot lower than 95.
I do have a reusable respirator, but I've been told by my medical director not to in with it because I look like it's like some guy out of a movie. So I don't know. I don't know. The only reason I think they downgrade surgical masks is because they literally cost 20 cents, while an N95 can cost you anywhere between $2 to $10 a pop. But well, I mean, when it comes to your own safety, you really can't put a price on that.
Well, I mean, maybe you could. I'll trade you. I guess I understand it's expensive. So times are hard. I understand. Like, we have to get through this. So I'll make you a deal, right? You give me, let's say, 400 million masks, and I'll give you an F-35.
Maybe, I don't know. I really don't. Right. I really don't know the politics that are going behind it. I just know that PPE equipment is hard to go by. Now there is some people. I do know in the background there's an Operation Shields Up. A lot of the IT guys right now are printing 3D printing shields right now, and they're dispersing them all over the United States. I know Linus Tech Tips and a few other guys. Yeah, some other guys that I know that are printing up some shields. But go ahead.
3D printers going at the moment. Just the standard forge 3D printers. Those are going to first responders in rural and struggling communities. But in compared to what the U.S. government could print off, right? It's nothing. We're getting maybe 150 out a week, which is good for 2 machines and just us. But the deal is they're acting like they're so helpless in all of this, where they have the ability to do everything. Look, you can build an Abrams tank, you can make a face mask, right? You can build Moabs nonstop, right? You can shock in but you can't figure out face masks? You could write out a check for $6 trillion a year for the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, but you can't figure out face masks.
Well, infection control, especially when you're dealing with infectious diseases, the protocol is to gown up, take the gown off, put on, clean off your hands, then use another gown, put on another mask, for each individual patient.
Yeah, that's what's going to have to be done. Look,
That's proper PPE equipment. I was talking to some other people and saying that, hey, if they're all contaminated with the same stuff and we were just wearing the masks, wouldn't it be okay just to use the same PPE equipment if we're on the shift? But
yeah, but
there's
remember
some politics around that.
2 months ago, the Chinese government did the same thing. Remember, everybody was trying to, how to disinfect your face mask using your rice cookers, and they had all those different ways that you were supposed to be able to clean them.
They're not designed for that. That's the thing, is we're dealing with stuff it's cotton or cotton fibers. They're not really designed to chemicals thrown on it. These things are like designed to maybe last like a day.
Guys, someone says Arnold Schwarzenegger donated a ton of masks. Anyone know how many masks he donated? Or?
Well, where did they go? Because
I think he donated out of his own personal wealth. He spent $1 million today. And if you guys watch, if you go to our page, I don't know if it's on the ABB page as well. I think it's the third video down. And dude is literally in his mask, like loading the boxes into the truck himself.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some common misbeliefs that I've been hearing too, is that the masks are more effective on the person who is contagious than the person who has a mask on. In all actuality, it's safer. It's safe if both have the masks on, both the patient and the caretaker, because that way there's less room for contamination. But what I'm hearing from the doctors are coming into the office knowing that it's not a safe place, knowing that it isn't safe, knowing that they're putting their life in danger. So, everybody's on edge. It's just a weird situation.
Well, and people, now we're starting, not only are we seeing the effects of the coronavirus, but we're starting to see the effects of our doctors and nurses and all of those guys being absolutely positively exhausted. All these assholes in suits go up and speak for 5 minutes, right? These doctors and nurses have been fighting nonstop for almost a month and a half now. And in none of their plans, like two things I just want to get through real quick. In none of their plans did they even like think that the people that are working right now cannot do this until June, nonstop, 24/7, 7 days a week. That's insanity, and they don't have any plan to replace.
The governor of California allowed students who are about to take their test to start working.
It doesn't matter. You need an army of people. These guys, look. If you bring 50,000 people on in California tomorrow, that the people, they can only work a 48-hour shift one time before they start making mistakes, and then they have to be out of the loop for a full 12 hours. And they're not even thinking about that. On top of this, through all of that relief plan, through all of the people up there speaking and how much they care about the workers and the American people, not a single fucking one of them thought that it's springtime and we're about to go into flood season. There is zero plans, right? Floods start next.
Yeah, I honestly, I've been getting the same feeling over here that, they say that this lockdown is going to go to the end of April. I don't see this going away next month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
It doesn't go away. How are you going to, when it comes time to evacuate people for the floods that happen in the Midwest every single year, right, for the last million years, when it floods, right, how are you going to get people to the refugee centers? They can't stay in huge groups on cots in the refugee centers, and that's your only plan.
Yeah. So they're saying that they're expecting a peak in this at the end of May here in Europe, and I'm guessing like in the US it started around the same time, so I'm expecting the same thing in the US, but it might be even later. And just real quick about the mask thing. we are having the same problems. I mean, I visited my mom a few days ago, and she's in healthcare, and she didn't even receive a mask. So
Really?
I bought masks for her in like 3 different countries, and
Yeah.
they're like on the way now. Still, she's lucky. She only has to go back to work next Tuesday, and I will have some masks for her at least. But she doesn't get it. She got a chocolate candy bar. So yeah. And a thank you card, and a chocolate candy bar. You're saying, people that's how they treat our healthcare workers. And
Yeah,
she's in
that's you know
healthcare
what?
since she was like a young girl, and she's like almost 60 now. So she's there, been there all her life.
Yeah, our medical director hasn't been in the office for 3 weeks, and we've been in doing direct care with patients since this started, and all we got was a thank you. Like, why not give
Yeah,
us a little more money?
yeah. And she is
Yeah.
like a nurse, and she's like she does like all this time she's working there, and they give like a candy, but they don't even give protective stuff. Like, what the hell are you doing? You're like not only bringing them in danger, you're also endangering all these old people, because that's what she's actually doing now, helping the old people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sad. It's happening everywhere. So if you think the U.S. is like the worst case, it's not true. It's just like in Europe, it's just as bad.
Well, I mean, I do see this is going to be what you saw in Italy is going to be nothing compared to what you're about to see in the States. And it's because, look, after it got bad in Italy, right? They had that first jump, man. They locked down the city, right? Nobody, the streets are clear. They stopped everything. We're not even close to that. Not even close at the same time. Like, we're not even making the attempt to stop that stuff, to stop travel, to stop any of it. Which says that when it does hit, when it starts expanding the way that it's going to, we've already expended all of our resources on the East and West Coast in just those two cities. We got
Yeah.
10,000 ventilators all together, and 3,000 of them don't even work.
Well, I've heard some interstate travel has been stopped, but it depends on where you're going. Um,
But that's
I,
the
I've been
deal.
hearing, I've been hearing from word of mouth. Two people have told me in Houston they have a lockdown. They have a lockdown order. I can't verify it, but I've been told through word of mouth that that's been
But
going on. Something else that did come out through word of mouth, and I don't want to spread any rumors. And I mean, well, I guess I am, but this is through word of mouth that some of the grocery workers at Amazon fulfillment centers were talking about going on strike because they don't have safety equipment either. So that would be a double whammy if it actually did pop off.
Well, look, we're playing this like weird profit game, right? And that's what's going to fuck us because when Italy shut down, they took a hit for it. Nothing, nothing, no stores, no restaurants, no absolutely positively nothing. Where we want to have everybody sit in their house, but we still want to make tons of money from it. So yeah, you're in lockdown, but everything that you can imagine is essential. You can go everywhere you want. Go to the store and pick up your pack of smokes and a couple of beers and stop by Walmart, right? You haven't stopped anything. And because the outbreaks are biggest on the two coasts, we've got the entire middle of the country that's still spreading the virus, right? Acting like it's not going down.
Yeah, this is literally the perfect storm for a worldwide economic depression and lots of loss of life. I don't see any good outlook anytime soon, and it will take us a decade to recover from this if we ever do. If this keeps on going the way it is, people are not working. People are not going to be able to pay their bills. We are going to see civil unrest, riots in the streets. Cops are getting sick. Military employees are getting sick. There was a U.S. naval ship that the captain got sick, and then they had a station in Guam, only to find out there were other people that were infected. So,
Well,
um,
we get to a certain point and then we can't even that's when you're going to see the real problems start to occur because we have to hide any weakness and any truth from both the people
well,
and what we
300 it was almost. I think it was almost 14. Or I think over 1,000 cops in New York were sick right now.
precinct. Yeah, same with they're under the impression that the military can't get sick, and we based all of our things that the military is going to come in and fix all of your problems. That an 18-year-old kid with 6 weeks of training in push-ups and sit-ups, right, is going to handle a global pandemic.
Well,
Okay.
all I can tell you is America was never prepared for this, and I don't know the people in charge are literally just steering the ship into an iceberg. This is the shelter in place isn't really stopping the infections.
They haven't. Yeah, they haven't done anything to stop the infection. They said, "Oh, we've got a global pandemic. What should we do? Let's give trillions of dollars to Wall Street." How is that supposed to help again?
Yeah, I do want to jump on this real quick, and that is, I want to ask what you guys think of it. Like, we read a lot of conspiracy theories about the whole, a number of different things about it being like a bioweapon. Some others say it is has to do with 5G, right? But there's one other thing I wanted to make people think about, and that is we now see during this crisis we see the World Health Organization stepping forward as some sort of like a global healthcare leader. Now, I know like many of our listeners are all like posting about New World Order and world government, etc. All these things. Um, what I noticed this time really, they are attempting to create some sort of global
One more,
healthcare system.
yep, they are.
And like we
Yeah.
have a global army, like the UN, we have global courts, we have global banking system, and like you already said, Wall Street, like we have global central banking. Uh, we are now moving towards a new pillar of so-called global government, and that is the global healthcare system. That's my opinion, and Tyler, you already agree. What do you guys think of it? Like, because
I mean, is there
the
for us
nations
not
are
to,
obviously publicly letting us down. Like, it almost seems it's on purpose.
I don't know if it's on purpose. I don't know if that specifically is. You've got a group of people that you got to ask yourself: does it on purpose, or do they just not have to do anything about it? Right. So I mean, when it comes to coronavirus, at a certain point, they're going to take advantage of terrible, terrible things that are happening because they're evil people. That's what they do. Um, I don't know. You'd have to give a good reason on why we don't have a global healthcare system. Like why you don't. A good reason why you wouldn't take care of somebody that was sick.
Oh yeah,
And the
that is true.
reason
But like,
normally,
where do you put the power, right? Do you put it centralized? You can make agreements. Like you can always make agreements. Like we do the mass distribution like this, like worldwide. Uh, like I'm not like when I say like on purpose, I mean they're. It seems like they're playing their role and they're letting the World Health Organization like take charge, so to speak. Like
sorry, I think at a certain point, we're going to have to become a much better society. And this whole thing is, and like, that's why it's that question, can you give me a good reason why you wouldn't take care of somebody that was sick? And the only reason that anybody can get is profit. Where's the money going to come? Money, 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 money. And that's the problem to begin. That's how we get to these.
Here's
Where if you're sick, yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to bring this point up, and this is something that happened during the polio epidemic. America knew that the polio vaccine had a 1 in a million chance of killing somebody or getting them infected with the polio virus, but kids were dying by faster than they could count. I'm just saying that if there's a vaccine that could possibly work, instead of going through the testing trials to save the greater good in a time of crisis, sometimes you need to do something medically irresponsible to save people. And I think that they should be doing, instead of doing human trials, actually just start pumping out the medication and the vaccine and start pumping it out. And those who want to volunteer to get tested, knowing that there could be some fatalities involved, so be it. But for the greater good. And I know that's like a bad way of looking at something, but this is the way that triage doctors think about stuff. It's making it's trying to make a good situation a bad situation not so bad. But
Yeah,
America see deaths in the hundreds of thousands. I guess
Yeah, if you were dealing with a triage doctor, it would be a different story. You're not. You're dealing with Merck. You're dealing with Monsanto.
Well,
right?
it's no.
They,
Well, it's McLillan. McLillan Labs is one of them that has. They've already been testing a patient. Her name is Jennifer Holler. She was patient number 1 for the vaccine, but she was already infected with the coronavirus while she was getting the vaccine. So we don't know how it would react on somebody who hasn't had it, or whether they will be immune. All I know from reading the article is that it needs a booster 3 months or 6 months after the original one, and I have no idea how it works. I'm not a virologist, so I would
yeah,
have to, you know.
I would not. I would not take. I would not take medical research from these companies. They are merchants with death, and they do not. Their goal is not to, in any way, shape, or form, cure coronavirus.
But you see,
right?
but you see my logic though. If there's a chance that it may work, we're saving lives.
I ain't trusting the pharmaceutical industry to help to give me untested fucking medication so they can sit and watch what the effects are.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing from
Hold on. They
okay.
will kill. Hold on. They will kill me for an erectile dysfunction drug, and you're telling me that they won't.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the meds that their FDA had approved to treat. So here's what the thinking is. Hydroxychloroquine is a malaria medication, right? But
Well, actually,
but yes, and it does certain things for the immune system. But hydroxychloroquine, the side effects can cause blindness. It can artificially induce lupus. It can destroy your immune system. It can do a lot of long-term things. And blindness actually happens in 20% of patients who take this medication long-term. Short-term, that doesn't usually happen. But the leading theory is between the azithromycin and the hydroxychloroquine is it doesn't actually kill the virus off. What it does, through botched science that they're doing, is that it protects healthy cells that aren't infected yet.
And the people that did survive with coronavirus that were taking it were also taking other immunosuppressant drugs. So the people that there had lupus, and lupus is a disease that makes your immune system goes into overdrive and eats your own, and eats your body system. So
yes,
they were
immunosuppressant, yes.
Exactly. So they were already on drugs for immunosuppressants. When coronavirus hit, they weren't able to get those drugs. So again, their immune system went into overdrive, which had a real effect on the coronavirus. And this is where we get into the problem, because the only couple of people that have taken this drug that only had coronavirus fucking died from it. Do not trust Big Pharma to do anything but test their new fucking erectile dysfunction drug. These are, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you're saying, well, if the devil could cure a couple of people, right, would you make a deal with the devil? But the deal is, that when you sign that dotted line, right, they're going to twist your words and you will never get a good deal, right? You wanted to see your daughter forever and live with them, they will turn her stone. That's how the devil works.
I don't know. It's trying to make a good situation bad, and I just see, I've said this for years, like, sometimes you need to overlook in situations like this. You need to overlook how many lives can I save versus how many lives will die if you don't make this decision. And
right.
If America doesn't make this decision quickly,
is that the same group of people that made the decision to stop all EPA regulation?
I don't know, but I'm just saying this: can America or the world wait 18 months for a cure with hundreds of thousands of people dying around the world versus something we can save some now?
We're making a straw man argument, right?
Yeah.
Can you guaranteed, right, be poisoned by one of these pharmaceutical companies, or could the U.S. government tomorrow turn all over its biomedical facilities to research a cure? Those aren't really real arguments there.
But I don't see. The thing is, I don't think the United States government was ever investigating into medicinal cures. I think they were spending all their money on weapons.
They don't have to. Those weapons facilities are still the top, the state-of-the-art virology lab, regardless on whether they're making a weapon or a cure. Now there are hundreds of these across the country, across the world, with the most intelligent scientists that money can buy, with the best facilities and computers that you can fucking buy. And rather than use those, they'll tell you that you need to go to this pharmaceutical company and just have them randomly test things on you and let's see what works. But you won't use the most powerful tools on our arsenal to fight this virus. You won't use them. Not that you can't, you won't. And we make it like, oh, well, look, if 1 million people die instead of 2 million people die, right? But look, Merck and all of these pharmaceutical companies are not your friend. They're just using you as medical research. It's not like we don't have the resources to actually fight this and not do something insane like that. And that's when I start really getting like stressed out when people start talking about the hard decision. I got to make the hard decision, because the hard decision always ends up making you a whole lot of money and my fucking debt.
Like I said, there are no easy decisions to be made, and honestly, I don't see the current status quo even making that decision for us. So, I guess just millions of hundreds of thousands of people will die across the world.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think turning over our biomedical weapons research facilities right now is a hard decision to make. Do it.
Make that millions, Tyler. This is going to cause millions of deaths, I think.
Oh, here we go. Some more bullshit logistics. This came out from the New York Times about 2 hours ago. So the USNS, I know it's not the Mercy. The Mercy is down here. I don't know I don't know what it's called. The one that's in New York that was supposed to move the healthy patients to the naval ship only has 3 patients.
Well, that's very worthwhile. That's an epidemic if I ever saw one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's supposed to take like the overflow.
Yeah, it was supposed to take the overflow. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes very little sense, especially, and again, right, we want to pay out Carnival Cruises hundreds of billions of dollars, but you can't say, all right, give me 4 cruise ships right now. These are now medical ships until we're done.
I thought it was a bad idea to begin with. It's just a waste. It's just a waste of money.
Well, they're already in incubators. Man, those ships have been, they're infected, 100%. Man, you don't want to use those things.
Well, I mean, at a certain point, everything's going to be infected at some point. That in itself would have been the smart thing to do in the very beginning when you had 100 people and you could contain it. At this point, the games that we're playing, we just need medical equipment. It's the one thing that they refuse to do, or act like they can't make something as simple as a mask.
Well, here's some statistics that are honestly changing. The counts. I've been talking to a few doctors. The official count on the death rate has risen. I think it's 5.2% worldwide, and doctors are still telling me it's only 4% because there's a skew of about 100,000 people in each area that aren't going to the doctors or getting tested, and they're not going to the doctors. But I said that's kind of skewed too when I was talking to the doctor, because we might also have deaths that aren't getting reported too. So
yeah, and I mean, even then we are still getting kind of, the numbers in China are higher, but
yes, China is definitely lying about their numbers for sure. I am 90.
We've got 2 problems. Like, first of all, a couple of doctors that we've said say that they're only counting 3 to 1 in some cases. So
why are
for
we
every
using viewers?
3 deaths for one 3 deaths for one, for one that they're counting. On top of that, there's plenty of places. California's got 56,000 untested kits that are just kind of sitting around of people that could or couldn't have it.
That entire story, I never understood that, the whole testing kit thing, because we're not dealing with a shortage of testing kits, we're dealing with a shortage of patented testing kits. Because I've seen... I've spoken to a doctor, a microbiologist from the north, one of the largest hospitals in my country, and he said any lab can test this. We have our normal labs can test for this disease. We don't need patented test kits. While on the south of our country, they say like, yeah, we need to rush test kits. We have a shortage, and we're going to force them to release the ingredients to us and release the receptor to it. But in the north, we're saying like, we don't need these test kits. We have our own stuff. We have, so they made like 6 labs available for testing, and they're just testing from their regular labs. No need for any
Yeah.
test kits.
You know, and I have family out in Central Asia right now. They're also seeing some really weird stuff that they're not reporting the numbers, because they want to make everybody stay calm. Literally, that's what they're telling me.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's the right course of action. And the reason I say
They're still post-Soviet countries. So
yeah, but when the only country that really has came up with this and handled it without a hitch is Taiwan. And how they did that and how they managed to keep people calm is not playing any games. Okay, complete transparency. They came out and told people exactly what's going on, what they wanted to do, no bullshit. And every time they tell you a lie and you find out the truth, right, it undermines what you were trying to do was keep people calm. They're actually more stressed out when they find out not only was I lied to by the government, but it undermines that trust factor. And now I got to deal with the realization of the new numbers that are the reality, when you should have just came out and been fucking honest with them to begin with. And Jesus, we are not set up to do that.
South Korea and Singapore also did well, but South Korea, there's a theory about that, and that is, it sounds weird, that they banned smoking all over the country. So the suggestion is they're just more healthy, they have like better lungs. So they don't die from it.
40% of the people who died were smokers. So the highest fatality rate that we have right now is from people that were smokers. I'm telling our viewers this: I smoked for 20 years. If y'all pick a time to quit, right now is a good time.
Yeah, and in China there was also a lot more men than women, and among men in China the amount of smokers is really, really high. It's like 80-90% of men smoke in China. So
yeah, and they don't have like a lot on their tobacco, so I mean they're smoking like unfiltered cowboy killers.
I'm not saying smoking is to blame for it, but this virus does cost you like a loss of like 30% of your lung power, and if you're already a smoker and you already lost like 30-40% of your lung power while you're smoking, then you don't have much left. So.
And you've got the problem in that smoking alters your DNA on the inside of your lungs as well. So there may be a connection between, the changes that happen to you genetically from smoking and what one of the ways that coronavirus spreads. That may have a correlation. It's really hard to tell, but we do know that you have a much higher chance of dying for some reason being male.
Yeah, and you have the issue of coughing, of course, in small rooms. Like you're coughing together sometimes because of smoking. Like, it sounds weird, but you're actually releasing the droplets in the air when you're coughing. So yeah.
Well, and we're starting to see, like the flu, just because, and that's been a problem with creating the antibodies, in that just because you have coronavirus once does not mean you can't get it again. And the ER
we don't know that either. Yeah, that's been another thing that's been talked about around the office, is that, can the infected get reinfected? We don't know.
That's what the deaths from the ER docs, right? Several of them that were really extremely healthy, and what they're saying with those ER docs that died is that they had been exposed, lived through it the first time, lived through it the second time, but by the time they had been exposed and caught it the third and fourth time, their body just couldn't fight anymore. So, I mean, and it is, on top of that, it is mutating. So by the time somebody, if it's enough like the flu in that way, by the time it reaches the East Coast, right, it's a completely different, disease.
Well, minor mutations won't stop immunities, but if it mutates a lot, then that's different,
Yeah, when you look at the flu, right, every year you got to get a new shot because every year it's mutated enough that it's a whole new disease. But all of these are very, very, unknowns. They're also not the things that are slowing us down. Our unwillingness to ever sacrifice any rich people's money to save ourselves is going to shoot us in the foot.
Well, this virus is a double-edged sword. It's not only loss of life, but we're seeing the economy fall apart. And the economy falls apart, then the structure falls apart. It's going to look pretty bad in the next couple of months. I also heard the United States Postal Office would be from Yahoo Finance. This is not being well covered. I don't understand how a government institution that moves our mail, which is an essential service, if things don't start picking up, I guess they were saying that they would be in bankruptcy somewhere between June. I don't remember reading the whole fucking article. I thought it was very bizarre.
They didn't get any of the relief money.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're looking at possibly having to shut the U.S. Postal Service. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to say. I understand that there's going to be some economic hardships here, but on the same note, we are witnessing a change in the same way that we saw change between the industrial, from the ancient world to the industrial, the postmodern to the industrial revolution to the revolution that we're seeing now. And we are desperately trying to hold up a bunch of systems that we should have gotten rid of decades ago. We're sitting here saying, well, how can we bail out this company and that company and the airline? Look, if your airline didn't save any of your money, then you're going to have to close, and another company that did handle their money is going to take over. That's capitalism. I'm not going to sit here and whine and cry that some billion-dollar, trillion-dollar airline company isn't making enough money for a year. Sell your private island. But if you're making it an emergency because you're just going to and die if the U.S. taxpayer doesn't bail you out, I'm not buying that. Carnival Cruises can kiss my ass. They got $36 trillion sitting in the Cayman Islands. Use that money. That's more than our economy.
I mean, look at all the tit suckers that came to the trough immediately. I mean, it's like the bankers, Wall Street, all the big companies. I mean, these guys live at the trough. They're so pathetic. They don't know how to run a real company.
Not without, if you're, they're talking to the fossil fuels thing. Oh, well, these companies are going out of business. That's fine. I'm paying you $300 billion a year because your industry is so fucking shitty it can't make a profit, right? Fuck off. It's over.
Yeah, it's like the circus. You're a relic of legacy of the past. You lost,
Yeah, exactly. And we know that this has been, they killed the electric car, 60 years ago now? We always say 40 years, but it's been 60 years since they played that game, which means we should have switched over to electric power 60 years ago, and we're still holding these companies up. And then when something bad happens, we make it sound like it's the economy that's the problem. No, we're holding up all of these people that don't deserve to be there. Betsy DeVos should have paid fucking taxes. She shouldn't have 10 yachts. And if the thing is we have to tank the U.S. economy or pay for her yachts, fuck her yachts.
Yeah, just real quick for our listeners, if you're using Periscope, we're aware it says 2010 instead of 2020. It is my fault. I made a typo. Had to go live real quick, and I changed it in our backend, but somehow Periscope didn't change it. So don't worry about it.
They don't. We could have looked. This is important, guys.
What
we
the fuck?
back in time to warn everybody.
My password's not working.
Yeah, we're trying to fix it, but
There's so many.
That's really weird.
With their hands out, and none of them deserve it, need it, or are in any form really struggling. If you're a multi-billionaire, right? Are you really struggling because of this? You're gonna make we're not gonna make that extra 100 million this year. I don't care.
Okay.
Well, how could you in 2 or 3 days be at the trough? You don't even know how it's going to fully affect you yet. You haven't sustained any loss, and yet you're already at the trough.
Yeah, they're already lined up, and what's terrible is you're already seeing the government back out, right? With people aren't getting their checks, we don't know when you're going to get your check, how your check, who's going to give it to you, none of that. Well, Wall Street's already been paid out twice.
Mm-hmm.
For money we don't even know what they're using it for. Just a blank check. Oh, we're having a bad time. We're getting hit by a coronavirus. Let's give Wall Street a shitload of money. Why? If you're a business and you're that big and you do something, crazy, like you say, hey, I'm going to turn this factory. I'm a multi-billionaire, right? Bloomberg spent $500 million on buying the DNC. Why don't you spend $100 million on opening a company to produce spaceman? But if just the thought of them taking any loss, making any sacrifice at all, causes them to fucking lose it, right? That we have to bail them out. Where if you're a soldier and you give the ultimate sacrifice, your life, the most you can expect is a medal. I say the most you can expect if you're a giant company and you've lost all of that money, or you did something great like make face masks or ventilators, you don't get money, you get a medal. Thank you for serving your country. That's what you give a soldier that gives the ultimate sacrifice, and you're trying to put profit on the same level as that?
Okay.
That's called you're serving your country. You punk asses never serve in a fucking war. Now that it's time to put up or fucking shut up, you're gonna have to spend some money. Quit crying.
So, what do you guys think about China and Russia now giving aid to all these countries around the world? Even Cuba, by the way. Cuba is also giving aid. Shouldn't forget them.
It's
like-
smart business. We're trying to carpet bomb we're trying to attack people and murder them and play the same games. China and Russia are going to make so much goodwill around the world. Those contracts are going to fall into their lap. Why? Because you saved somebody's kid's life.
Yeah, well, China, like, it sent thousands of ventilators to Italy when they needed it most, right? And Italy requested help from the European Union for weeks, and they didn't really get it. All they got was a bill of like 200 million for trying to save their restaurants and everything from collapsing, and they apparently they didn't follow the rules on that. So they got like a bill from the EU, and now then we saw the first country to respond to Italy asking help was Russia, and they sent in planes with stuff. They sent in doctors, cleaners for the streets, decontamination people, and then China sent in thousands of ventilators and doctors and 2 million masks. Like.
Yeah, it's smart. Look, if you want anything like that, look, we've tried the murder your way to fucking power thing, and it ends up not working. We get terrorists, we get a nightmare, instability, ends up costing us a shitload of money, right? If you want to get support from a region, if it's your U.S. interest, right? Send them food, send them medication, send them doctors. Nobody is going to like you for blowing up their family. And maybe the Chinese and the Russians have figured that out. You want that lithium mine, right? Send doctors. They'll give it to you. When their kid is on a ventilator, and the only thing that's keeping their child alive is that fucking machine that has the Chinese flag on it, they will give you anything that you want with a smile on their face.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the countries here in the West are kind of lying about the costs too, because I checked on suppliers and producers networks, and I see ventilators can be made for $1,500 a piece. And when you're like they're selling like Alibaba.com, and so they sell like 1,500 the cheap versions, and you have like some more expensive, a few thousand. A few million buys you a few thousand ventilators, and you're talking about countries like the US having billions and billions of budgets to buy ventilators. And when I see like you're not having enough ventilators, you can buy ventilators by the millions right now for your people if you want, and that's what I don't really get.
Yeah, it makes no sense. The F-35 cost $1 trillion to fucking build, right?
Yeah.
And yet we act like there's nothing we can do. Moab, you know what I mean? Like you can just go down the list, and it comes to the real realization. The people that should have done this are groups like FEMA, and they had the choice: can I buy ventilators, or should I buy bullets? And they bought 100 million rounds worth of bullets, right? They bought tear gas, they bought razor wire, they bought machine guns, they bought flashbangs, they bought body armor. They didn't buy ventilators.
Yeah, but it's the same story here. Like the crisis broke out, and they said, okay, we make 90 billion euro available right now for the crisis, to handle the crisis. And then they say like, yeah, we have to buy these expensive ventilators. A thousand more are on the way. And it's like, okay, but 1,000 only will cost you like 1.5 million, like maybe 2 million. And what's up? You just invested 90 billion. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. If I walk into the U.S. government tomorrow and said I had a new biological weapon that would kill 5% of the population right now, they would give me unlimited budget, a staff, and any fucking resources that I want. If I come in and tell them I need to make 100 masks, right, by the end of the week, they're going to look at me and laugh. You're going to save people? We're not in that business, man. And they all put in, like, you know, on the low end, you look at how much Arnold Schwarzenegger is worth. I know we were talking about that earlier, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger is only worth something like $7 million. He gave $1 million of it right off the fucking bat, right? $1 million of his personal funds, right? Bloomberg can't seem to come up with any. Fucking Biden's sitting in his office, right? He's got $30 million in bank and 3 mansions, right? Can't figure out how to get medical staff. Never thought about to open one of his mansions that he's not using to medical staff that can't go home, right? Never thought to open up a fucking a factory in Scranton with all of the billionaires that are in the room with you to do nothing but pump out face masks with vote Biden 2020 on them, right? Ventilators to move across the country. These guys have resources, have the apart. You can move to Flint right now. I can buy a factory tomorrow, cash, for less than $30,000 in Flint. I could have them pumping out ventilators and masks by the end of the week for less than $1 million. But yet, whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Google, whether it's Amazon, whether it's any of these, all of these guys are giving fucking pennies and acting like they're doing the best thing in the world. They're not doing anything. If I want to break the atom bomb, right, they'll build a village to pull that off. If I want to save just as many people, right, nothing. There's nothing we can do.
Well, you're going to get more people killed and have people doing suicides and all the rest of it. The solution here is worse than the virus. That's the problem.
I think the solution with the system, the construct that we're stuck in is, we could throw this away tomorrow. Everybody could stop with this whole I'm Italy, you're Germany, I'm China and US and whatever, and say, look guys, we got to get our best and brightest together and fucking fix this now. Nobody is doing that, right? There's this really, coronavirus is not that big of a deal. You're telling me that humanity, right? That you look, we've been to the moon and back, and you cannot figure out how to make face masks. Not because it's impossible, but because you can't deal with the profit aspect of it. You can't deal with the greed aspect of it. Greed is killing us here, not the virus. Humanity in itself could pump out more fucking face masks than we could possibly imagine tomorrow if we wanted to. We can get back and forth to Mars.
Well, I know here in LA we have some. I know the mayor or the governor got with some local clothing lines and said, "Hey, can you start making some?" So
yeah,
I know that's been going on.
There is people doing great things in the world, but in all reality, the things that we're dealing with, a ventilator, face masks, these are not like unattainable, crazy, futuristic technologies, right? Ventilators have been around for like 300 years, right? We really could fix this right now, but no, the mayor of this state versus the mayor in that state versus my plan versus your plan versus red versus blue versus Chinese versus U.S. versus capitalism versus communism versus socialism versus blah, 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 but what you're not doing. And that's what you could do easily. But if you say, hey, I need 1 million ventilators right now, next week. If your next thing is how much is it because it's going to cost, you already lost. Those people are already dead. Because coronavirus does not care about money at all. Doesn't care about money, race, creed, none of that shit. Nothing at all. Doesn't care about borders, doesn't care about whether you're a good economy, bad economy, doesn't care. Dictator doesn't give a fuck about none of that shit. And all of the little bullshit made up stuff that we do care about is getting us killed.
It is weird, Tyler. It doesn't allow to edit a title.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I know this. It says download the app, but I'm not downloading the app. I'm like, why would there be more functions on the app than the web portal?
No, I'll try to fix it like afterwards, but I don't see the option for previous shows either. So
I don't either. It's so bizarre.
Maybe one more done. You can change it.
No, because it doesn't do it for other previous episodes. I don't know what's going on. I'll check.
I don't know why.
But, yeah.
We're in the super broadcast.
We're in lockdown. Anybody went outside and checked and make sure it's not 2011?
Yeah.
What?
Well, if you swirl around a black hole long enough, it does distort space-time. So, it's possible.
Fuck, did they turn the CERN machine on again? Last time this happened, we got Trump. Somebody needs to call and check.
Well, if it's idiocracy, that people are dying, and we don't have the medical equipment, then then there will be lawsuits, and people should be banging on their doors and pulling people out of their house saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because we're in the middle of a fucking crisis, and
That means
I don't
if you're
have
in a
time.
crisis,
We don't have time for fucking bullshit games right now. People need to get their shit together.
Well, I mean, look, governments, and that's the worldwide, have now been fighting with this for 3 months, and there's pretty much absolutely no change. Absolutely no change. We are looking at a carbon copy version of what we've seen in Wuhan. What we saw every single country that we've covered on this, right? Everyone right behind it makes the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Nobody was prepared for this. Nobody was prepared.
It's one of those. It didn't come out. It didn't really come out of nowhere, right? We had plenty of time to prepare. We had plenty of resources to prepare. We could prepare now. We had 3 months up before. We've got the technology. We've got the manpower. We've got the industrial ability. The industrial ability.
Right,
we were
but
warned about.
you know how the CIA has think tanks.
Yeah, we were warned about
Okay,
this.
I'm just saying. In any of those think tanks or the manuals, do you think that they ever came across the situation? Now I'm starting to think maybe they never did have a directive in case we had an airborne pandemic come onto United States shores. It's leading more towards like the guys who are in charge are steering the ship into a fucking iceberg, and it's happening every fucking country. So
I mean,
I have no faith. I have no faith in the establishment. It's literally going to come down to us, the people, either getting our shit together, because their governments can't fucking help us.
they're incompetent.
Yeah, that is 100% true. I mean, everything that they're doing is the opposite of what you should be doing, and they're trying to. I don't know. That's it. Like it's just Wall Street. That is really all they're caring. All they care about. I mean, that really it's all they care about.
Yeah, and this is why we also should say tell listeners, because it is true. People are the only ones who can do it. We have to do it ourselves, and to reduce the damage, we have to stick to a protocol, and that is we should not infect other people. And this is like the countries are not, the governments are not sufficiently helping us, and it doesn't mean like the government should all be destroyed or whatever, but it does mean that we have to do it ourselves. We have to take charge ourselves in a way that we don't infect others. So we have to stay home when we can. We have to wear masks when we can. We can't. We have to keep distance from each other, because in that way the infection slows, and the healthcare system won't be overwhelmed. And because if you don't do this, the healthcare system will be overwhelmed, and the government will not be able to handle this, because you're talking about a very, very infective disease. And
True.
Well, wait a minute.
No, I had plenty of time to prepare. I really do. The same way that they're going to act like the same way that they act shocked every single year that hurricanes hit. Every year they act like they've never seen a hurricane before. Every single year for the last million years we've had a hurricane season, and every year they look completely and utterly confused. Same with the wildfires, right? Every year, whether it's climate change or not, the wildfires happen every single year. Same with the flood, and every year they act like they're completely confused. They've never seen a flood before. Never seen a wildfire before, never seen a hurricane before, but yet we have all of the tools to prepare for it.
Well, I've always had my theories about the fires in the West, and people can call it a conspiracy theory, but
yeah, look, even if
they're
using full laser weapons, right? They're still doing it in fire season.
And there has been a few. Yes, no serial arsonists home is starting fires in the middle of no. I hate to say it, but I would say 9 times out of 10.
Conspiracy theory with me. I would go in with the direct weapons.
No, we caught a lady last summer who was not only starting some of the forest fires or starting fires up in the hills, but she was also trying to burn down an apartment complex and she was hearing voices and shit.
Same with Australia. I mean, but they still, and maybe some of the ones happening in California were outside of that zone, but the wildfires that we've seen recently have all been well within wildfire season. like the natural wildfires that happen.
Well, there are natural wildfires, but I'm just saying a lot. You know, in some places like Skirball and all that started by fucking homeless people. You know,
A bunch of the ones that were in Australia were also started by people, but that doesn't take out. You should never be shocked about fire season in California. Right? There's never a time where you should be shocked that a hurricane comes in hurricane season. You shouldn't have to scramble to respond, and they do. They say the same thing that they said about coronavirus. Well, nobody could have seen this coming. Well, except for all of the scientists that said we dodged a bullet with every other large outbreak that we've had, right? If you go back and you watch the news coverage of Ebola when it calmed back down, every scientist came out and said, guys, we got to get ready. Not prepared for this, right? This is going to happen. Statistically, we are well over on when our global pandemic is supposed to happen. We seriously dodged a bullet. Get ready. Nobody listened. SARS, the same thing. We really dodged a bullet. I heard countless scientists say that over and over again, right? Same with the swine flus in the same region even. And they said, guys, this is going to happen. We have to get ready. I heard so many people say that. And then now when you fast forward another 4 years, they all come out on, on the TV and say, well, nobody saw this coming. Well, except for every scientist that you talk to.
Well, I didn't see this coming. I was in Central Asia when this stuff started popping off, and I remember I didn't even hear about it.
I mean, it's one of those global pandemics happen. So why wouldn't the only agency supposed to respond to global pandemics be ready? Literally, FEMA's only job was to be ready for this.
Yeah.
For all the bullshit that they did, this was their only job. The CDC's job, their only job was to be ready for this.
And maybe I'm just saying that the American people can think about this if and when we ever do have an election and we start, questioning where our tax dollars are going to. I'm just saying.
Yeah, next time if they say, hey, we've got this new bunker busting fucking supersonic underwater space laser guided missile, or we can buy 100,000 ventilators, go with the.
Yeah, what I have a problem with, I'm like an outspoken anarchist, right? I don't really believe in leadership. I don't really believe in like that government has to like decide and do everything for you. But it doesn't mean I believe like in chaos. But I do believe what I do find weird is that in this we're dealing with COVID-19. It's in 198 countries. Almost no country in the world is able to deal with this. And I got like the feeling like, why are people still looking at governments to do everything?
Solve their problem.
Yeah, they won't be able to solve it. We have to do it ourselves. Like, and doesn't mean like we destabilize government or whatever. We just have to do what is necessary to stop this pandemic, and we can actually. But people have to do it themselves.
You need a savior like Zion Don, the Orange Infringer.
Well, I don't need a leader to actually save me from a pandemic. Like, this leader can. He doesn't control a virus. This leader. I mean, we don't need him to do it. But we don't have to destabilize or fuck up the country for it. We can do our tasks.
I think there is some realizations to be made here. Number one, you've always had to rely on yourself. It was stupid to think that the king or the clergy or these politicians gave a fuck about you. And I think that has been proven.
Well, the reality is in May, if this goes on, 2/3 of Americans are not going to be able to pay their rent, nor if their unemployment benefits. And if we go a month past that, unemployment benefits for a lot of people will run out. So what are we going to do as a society if this goes on for another couple of months?
Well, and that's the problem. So, I mean, in some of the cases when we've looked at things like food stamps, right? So food stamps, same kind of thing, but for every dollar that you spend in food stamps, you make 5 in the economy, right? So you buy a thing of oranges, you pretty much stimulate the economy, and you got to pay for, drivers and farmers and the guy that picks it and all of that stuff. So you create a ton of money. And while we're sitting here, they're acting like they're hemorrhaging all this cash and blah, 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 right? But we're buying all sorts of shit. The economy's doing fine. People are ordering from Amazon. They're getting, clothes and food.
Oh, we're getting censored. I can see it.
Yeah,
we are. Yeah, our viewer counts are just bouncing around.
That's fine. I mean, look, I would argue that like we said in the beginning, we can easily deal with this, and our part of the economy, as far as buying stuff, and doing that part of it is going fine. Retailers are making plenty of money, right? The way that we were doing it has changed, but that probably should have changed 20 years ago, and it was being held back. Um, so yeah, I kind of there is going to be hardships there, but some of it we've put ourselves in our own position, right? You thought that Walmart and Burger King were going to feed you and quit growing a garden. You quit
No, I think I went to McDonald's today and they said they were only having a limit. They only have limited menus and shit. So I'm like, here I am thinking. I didn't check any other McDonald's, so I'm like,
You're going to have
uh,
to get back to
they're like, I know. I was like, no. Here's my thinking is like, is I've been saying this for a while, and is there a food shortage here in the United States, and is
I
that a
don't.
reality?
Well, there's two parts going on with this. First of all, there is nobody to pick the food right now. Nobody.
Well, a lot of the mega farms, you know well as I do, that they're all automated. A lot of them are the mega
But then
farms.
elected automated, but then the sorting and the washing and all of that stuff was done by people. So we are having it's not a real food shortage. They're actually throwing it away on site. I think in California alone, the strawberry crop came in and it's a complete loss because there's nobody to get it where it needs to go to. That's part of the problem on where food's going, and the mega farms, that was a bad idea.
Well, of course it's been a bad idea, but I'm just saying, I'm still going to the store, and they're only 70 to 60% stocked, and that's in the cities. But I'm hearing out in the suburbs, it's a little bit better. I don't know if they're still panic buying in. I asked a guy at Costco last week. I asked him like, "Hey, where is all the toilet paper going?" And they were telling me that there were people showing up at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. 1,000 people, probably exaggerating. It's probably more like 100. And they were going at Costco, lighting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that they would open and they would start taking all this shit. But that still doesn't explain where the food's. Because sometimes when I go in there, there's not enough meat, there's not enough eggs, there's not enough this. So is there a food shortage, or is it just a distribution problem, or?
I think it's more of a distribution problem than an actual shortage. But again, was never a really wise idea to pretend, to depend on a single, corporate mega farm on the other side of the country or the other side of the world to get you your food. Those dirty hippies that were growing,
Yeah, because I have family in Central Asia. Everybody was panic buying there, and what they did in the country where my extended family is right now, they isolated each city individually so they couldn't cross contaminate each city, and they have enough even after the panic buying. There was still enough food to go around. There was no shortage of anything. So I'm just wondering what the fuck is going on. This is, I know this is a smaller country, but like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. But how many people realize that this panic buying and ever going to the store altogether actually is spreading this virus too? Like, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but you're
Well,
talking hundreds of people in one place at once.
I don't feel safe going to the store. I really don't.
No, you
well, and
shouldn't.
people, not people, but the corporations are unwilling to lose any profit on it because of the panic buying. They're selling out their shelves rather than saying, "Hey, everyone order is allowed to get this much max into
I've already been told that at the store. Some places I went to, about not this week but the week before, I was told I was only allowed 2 of anything.
Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do is to ration things out. But there's plenty of stores that will allow you to go in and literally clean them out, and there's no reason for them to be doing. But they're happy to have their stores, cleared out and to have that problem. Sold
And
everything.
here's another thing that has been bugging kind of quite a bit. Okay, so I know Trump wants people to start working as soon as possible, but then they extended this thing. So how can we return to work safely if we don't have PPE equipment to go around? How can we ensure that the average worker can go to work get a mask, get some gloves, and be able to work. And I don't see that happening in the next
Nah, and-
couple of months. You know, this is a really bad situation.
Yeah, I
wonder-
mean, you could. It does get into those. You know, tomorrow go into the Abrams tank factory and tell them you want them to make masks and PPE. If they're not going to do that, then they cannot act like they're helpless into what's going on. That's we have to not say the word can't. They won't do those things.
I want to say one thing about the United States. I don't get the panic buying, especially of food. The United States is the largest food exporter in the world. Mainly maize, soya beans, and milk. Also wheat, sugar beet, potatoes, and chicken. They're the largest exporter. And most of your food is exported. I don't believe there is a food shortage. I believe there is a distribution problem. So if you're all like the raw materials are there, like the stuff is actually there, but I don't think they have enough trucks to do it, to actually distribute it. We had
Drivers.
like I live in the Netherlands. We are the second largest food producer in the world, believe it or not. We're a tiny country. 85% is being exported. We had the food shortages too in the stores, but it was only lasted like a weekend. Because everyone's panic buying, but they always no. Monday after the weekend, we resupplied everything again, so you don't have to worry. And then people stopped doing it. Like, yeah.
Some of the mom and pop stores out where we're at, so some of the like small corner stores, they're really worried that they're going to be shut down out of the blue. You know, they're going to give the order to shut down all of those, to like close it for good, and they're going to be stuck with a whole bunch of product to rot in their, you know, freezers and, you know, refrigerators and all of that. So in some of that, they're also letting stores run down so that they don't have to keep all of that on hand. You know, they're going to lose all of that food.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I get it, but I think there's also like a lot of copycatting involved. Like you go to a supermarket and you see like almost all the eggs are gone. You'll quickly buy some eggs because you think they're gone soon, and like you have this copycat behavior, right? You're all fear based.
Yeah, you just got them because, oh crap, it's the last one.
Yeah, it's just the last one because we don't actually stock 1 billion eggs. We have them in like our storage room. We don't put them all in the supermarket. Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's,
mean we're having some. I think some of it we are really going through a transition here, and it's going to be rough. They always are, but we are looking at the last vestiges of a failing system, right? And it may have failed altogether. We just haven't realized it. We'll come out-
It's gonna fail. It's gonna fail, dude. This
know,
is a
the-
perfect storm.
There's all sorts of things in this. Look, you can, you know, your car really, you know, if you had an electric car, you would, and solar panels, you would not be stressed about the oil price, not even one little bit, right? But we're connected to that system that we don't even need anymore, and now we're desperately chasing our tails around, you know, because of it. And you can name off a bunch of systems like that, you know, the rich fucking tax system is probably another one. But trying to hold those systems up when everything that they existed in has already been eroded is a problem. People aren't, you know, the industrial revolution is over. We are full on into the digital age, right? Where we should have been processing stuff, 3D printing it across the globe. Can you imagine if we invested in 3D printing 10 years ago? Where you push a button and it kicks out an entire ventilator. Do that all day. No people even need it. Right, and you can look at the industries where that would have fit, right? When you've got, oh, well, how do we get, you know, tests back and forth to people without spreading the disease? Well, are you moving all of your equipment by drone? No. Well, that's a problem. Well, we don't have enough truck drivers. Well, are they self-driving trucks? Are they using drones to move that stuff? No. All right, so you're trying to fight, right, the last world's fucking losers with the new world's winners, and that's not going to work.
They don't have a plan. It's obvious now
Nobody
that
has a
they
plan.
don't have a plan.
Any plan would be better. We were talking Idiocracy, and you watch the movie now. When you used to watch it, it was hilarious. Then you were like, oh, this is much more like real life than I would like. Now you watch it and we're like, fuck, can we at least get that much leadership? Like, honestly, President Camacho would be doing better than what we got now. President Camacho
Who's
President
Camacho?
was smart enough to find a guy that was time traveling to fix it. right? Our guys are asking Wall Street.
How is it like with different states? Like when I was thinking like about the food shortage still. I'm sorry if I'm behind, but like in one state you have like a shortage, but maybe in other states they produce a lot. How is this like taken care of? Are they? Is there like a?
Each state is really like its own little country. So even if there was, you would think that, hey, if I had a bunch, had an excess of potatoes, right? I'm Idaho and you're fucking starving to death. I just put them on trucks and send them to you. That's not how our system works.
That's weird. That's weird. Like
Yeah, they'll rot rather than them to go to a starving person down the street, right? An entire region of the country will starve to death while the country is doing just fine.
I mean, the only thing I could recommend to our viewers, point, shit's gonna get worse. Expect things to get worse. Be safe. Don't think that the government's gonna save you after this month. Where it's literally gonna come down to us, and I do see a perfect storm for rest in the next couple of months. Stuff is gonna start
things
falling
are
apart.
going to get really bad, but they're also after that going to get just exponentially better because the lies have all been exposed here. Even for what we're doing here, corporate news is over, right? You see them now, they're desperately trying to do half-ass live streams. They stumble on their words. They can't exist without a full team of teleprompters and lighting guys and writers, all of that shit, all of that. It's none of it real. And now they're having to compete with people like us, right? People that are...
What I don't... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, what I don't like, which
Well,
is going on, is they're politicizing a crisis. We're in the middle of a crisis. Nobody is immune to this. Now, if you can tell the average American, tell them the truth, tell them what, shit's going to start falling apart economically, financially, medically. Things are going to start falling apart. They're already falling apart. And if the economy can't pick itself up in 2 months, we're going to see it all fall apart.
okay, well, I think you need a paradigm shift, like a shift in thought. Like you have 350 million people in the USA, and you have a government, and what people need to realize, I think I mentioned before, is that the 350 million people control the country, and you're like everyone is being affected by this whole virus thing and by the shortages. The government is not capable anyway to protect you against this, so you have to do it yourself, and you have to realize the government is working for you at this moment. This is the paradigm shift. Now you can see the government is weaker than you are. You are the dominant factor with 350 million people. They're not there to do it. They are trying it. Honestly, I believe they're trying it with the whole hospitals and the increasing of IC beds and everything. But the only thing is that you can do it yourself. And about the economy, you have two forms of economy. You have the financial market, and stock market, that's obviously crashing. But you also have the real economy, and that is the farmers are still producing food, and they are still going to need to sell that food. And whoever is going to pay for it can buy that food from them. As long as they can produce, they're happy, right? So that part of the economy will always exist. I think that is the real economy, and like
I think the things that we're going to lose out here are things that fell apart because their greed set them up that way. And you're right? What we're dealing with here, our farmers are going to grow food. People are going to drive that food. If the people need it somewhere, people are going to drive it there. All of that's going to happen. In the same way that they're saying, well, we have to give the airline companies $1 trillion because, well, no, let it shut down. That's fine. An airline company that can run will replace it. We're not going to stop flying because, U.S. Airlines or whatever company they're in love with. Carnival cruises, the tourist industry is not going to stop because Carnival Cruise. In fact, it'll probably be better. Carnival Cruises was a fucking nightmare. I don't know who told you it wasn't.
Shrink down on these things. If they can't handle the crisis, then they're not worth it to be there. Like
that's how capitalism works.
Yeah, like your real economy maybe push. Sorry, the lag. Sorry.
No, but they're telling you it's like, oh well, this is gonna. What is the boat gonna disappear? I bet you it'll be there in 6 months.
Yeah, somebody will buy
it'll
it.
be there in 6 months.
See, that's the thing.
And they'll make money off of it. There'll be an economy that comes out and a company that will replace it that will be just as good. You know, look, you can be a Duesenberg all you want. You exist in 2020. I'm sorry.
See, that's what I mean. Like, if you realize that the real economy is going to continue, like what I said, like the farmers, and maybe help them a bit, push them forward, like make them stronger. That's the real
I don't
economy.
think
And let these fucking airlines collapse. Who
I
cares
don't
about
think-
it?
And they're the ones, they're the ones that you are cold-hearted capitalists. Greed is good, right? This is what you want. What you're talking about there is socialism. If the U.S. people are buying you or, are covering your losses, that's socialism, man.
Well, it's already happened 3
Different
times. So, I mean,
I
we
mean,
bailed out.
and
We bailed
every
them out.
single
We bailed them
president-
out in '87. We bailed them out in '08. We bailed them out in 2020. So it's not real capitalism. So
Trump just gave a back break. It's like, look, man, if you didn't save that money, you didn't save that money. That's not. You don't give that same luxury to any homeless person in America.
Yeah. So you can actually you should just change this paradigm. I think this is very important for people, and they should realize what really matters. And that part of, like, right now, you
We've
know what
gotta-
really matters. You need this food. You go like fight over toilet paper. Then make sure you actually support the toilet paper producers, right? That's what you need.
And it really does my head in that none of these politicians ever have the people in mind, right? And I'm not saying I'm not greedy. I'm just greedy for the people, right? Like that's fine. I'm not gonna hide that. I will fuck over the rich to help out the poor any day, right? But that's exactly the point. So this tourist company or this giant corporation that literally has nobody in comes to you and says, well, because of coronavirus, I'm just going to have to get rid of all of these properties. I'm thinking, damn, I got 100,000 homeless people here. I'll take those properties.
Yeah, but I mean, aren't you like
Fuck,
a
I'm happy.
super capitalist society, right? And you see, like, everyone is fighting over toilet paper. So you see the demand for toilet paper is like spiking. So shouldn't you make sure that you actually have a supply of toilet paper? And isn't that where the money is to be made in a capitalist society?
That's right. Well, see, that's why we're not really a capitalist society. We're something else. I'm not sure what to call it sometimes, but that's a great example. My number one problem is, why is toilet paper in high demand, and why is that a priority? Why is wiping your ass a priority when you're going to need food?
Yeah, wiping your ass is a priority, but getting food isn't. I think I said this on the one before on my kind of take on what I see some of the some of the issue with toilet paper is that people are scared and we're all broke as fuck. And you can go in and you can buy absolutely nothing with $20. Let's say you're a waitress, or you're a line worker, and you got $20 in your pocket. What are you going to put in your basket that looks like you did something? When you go home to your family, you have to, you're whoever you are, right? But you got to provide for your family. When you open that car door, right, your family is expecting you to have supplies in there to have taken care of them. And you feel that, like, emotionally, and you as a person not being able to provide for your people. And you can spend $20 on toilet. It's a very sought after item. So when you open the car door and you've got, 2 48 packs of toilet paper, right, you feel like you did something because you couldn't have went and bought that much food. You would have had 2 bags of food, right? You would have, you couldn't have bought anything of substance from that. But because of the situation with toilet paper, right, you come home and feel like a champion, like I've taken care of my family. Right, I looked for toilet paper. You almost had to stand over them. Yeah, I brought it home. Right, we're the only people on the block that got toilet. We had nothing. I told you I'd do it. Right, you felt like you did something, but if you took that $20 out, you couldn't tank full of gas.
Well, I mean, apparently those are the kind of simpletons we have in America now. I mean, I'm not denying it. I don't get the thinking. I mean, even if you didn't have much money, you can always use an old pair of underwear or something to wipe your ass with. You don't need toilet paper. Go buy you a chunk of meat,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get it either. Like, come on, guys. In your ass is like, this is not this is not something that you should be stressed about when you do. If you would have spent that kind of focus and that kind of time on building the things that we need to respond to this, it could have made a difference. But we have gotten to a lot of people talk about I don't know if they watched Bear Grylls or one of those stupid Duck Dynasty movies or the Walking Dead and built themselves up into something that they're not. Right? You don't know how to grow your own food. You don't know how to get your own water. You don't know how to hunt. You don't know how to fish. You don't know how to wipe your own ass. You rely on the government for absolutely everything. And yet you've got this like idealized version that going to be next road warrior. You ain't cut out for that. You're overweight and got diabetes. You cannot even afford the medicine to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I believe like in an economy, like money doesn't disappear; it just moves, right? It moves to different places. And like if you have the toilet paper example, you have 350 million people in the USA. I think maybe 100 million families. If you spend like $4 every 3 days or something, you spend 400 million on toilet paper every 3 days. That means that is 4 billion a month on toilet paper. Any producer of toilet paper can make 4 billion a month if he supplies nationwide. So
Well, but they can't do it unless they get paid up front, and then they'll look into how they're going to do it, which is bizarre. Like Ford said they were going to make ventilators. They've had 3 months now. They haven't made a single ventilator. They're looking into how they might be able to do it. They're taking the money. They're not even sure. Geez, it's a very hard machine to make. Very difficult, very technical. Where we got we built them in Palestine with a dough mixer.
Well, see, to New York con men and Wall Street con artists, everything is hard. They're not used to working because all they do is shuffle paper and make slick deals. They don't know what work is. So to them, making a ventilator is hard. They have no fucking clue how to do it.
Or to even sit down and when somebody comes up to you and says 3 months and $1,500 to do it, you need to look at them and say, look, man, you're gonna make me for $150 and you're gonna have us fucking prototype out to me in 2-3 days. And if you don't, we're gonna act like it's like what the War Powers Act really was, and I'll take a hold of this place the same way like if I needed to make fucking bombs. Right, exactly like Eisenhower said. Right, we can make plowshares. We can build anything that you want. You can kick me out of fucking Abrams tank every 15 minutes, but cannot figure out how to make a ventilator. And what's crazy is the Abrams ventilator system on it. Clean.
Well, yeah,
like it's not like.
Well, it's not like you're reinventing anything. I mean, you already build ventilators, so it's like you just need to make more. You don't need a new design or nothing. Just build some more. What the fuck?
In Australia, Dyson actually did it. So the guys that make the vacuum cleaner, and I guess they're very similar systems. So he took apart one of his hairs or whatever it does, rewrote it, built it, and I think he's up to 20,000 ventilators, something like that. He gave them all to the UK. Said that he would help the US with some of them, and the US said we didn't want them. We've got less than 10,000 at this point.
Yeah, so we're talking thousands, and then we're projecting these millions of dead bodies and all these cases. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're off by what, a magnitude of 3. I mean, that's all. It's no big deal. You're just falling a little short.
Well, you've kind of seen in Trump's press conferences, he's been pretty honest with people when they ask him. He's like, well, we'll do everything we can. He's like, well, you shut down the country? He's like, no, that'll fuck up the economy. I'm not going to lose that kind of money. So, I mean, he did right up the front say he values that profit over, and that profit is 3%. 3% of the American people are not worth what it's going to cost the 10 people invested in the stock market. It's just, sorry, man. Your family, your kids, your elders, your grandparents, they don't give a shit. Not when Wall Street could lose some money, guys. I mean, I don't think you're looking at the ways they could lose money.
It's a great insight into how they think. I ran across another. It was a CNBC article where these guys were actually coming on and they were worried about BlackRock and all these big hedge funds, and oh man, how over leveraged they were when all this happened, and how fucked they are now. And they were worried about them. It's like, like we really got to bail these guys out. It's just like, why? They fucked up.
And it's the only
How does that have anything to do with the rest of us? It's like, and they're serious about it. But this is how these people think, man.
well, and they like literally when you're a hedge working in the in Wall Street and all of that, that's gambling. It's called a hedge fund for a reason. Like it's 100% gambling, and you don't get like there's no other. You can't go into the Luxor, lose your shirt, and say whoa. Guy, I lost all my money. I lost a hand. You guys are gonna have to pay me that money back. That doesn't work in any other gambling industry. You lose the horse races you lost. You shouldn't have bet on that horse.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
Microsoft
it's just the ass
biggest
of
company
Wall
in the world.
Street and the East Coast, man, and DC. It's just they're so detached, and it's just their ass is a mile wide, man, and they don't even get it.
I think the one that just sent me over. The reason I came in already fucking agitated when we started the show today was I saw the news clip from him talking about the free lunch program, right? So you can pretty much CEOs and corporations can write off their food, a literally feed the rich program. And they're like, oh, this will help. This will help keep restaurants open. If the rich and powerful and celebrities can write off eating at these restaurants, why don't you just give the money directly to the restaurant? Skip the middleman.
Okay, guys. I see on Facebook some people ask how you can make the PPE material, masks, etc. I posted a link below the stream. You can see in the comments I posted a link to do-it-yourself materials. These are tested by Cambridge University. If you're interested, you can make your own mask. But if you're interested in this COVID-19 subject and want to discuss with others and want to make plans together how to create masks and protect yourself, we have a COVID-19 Discord server, and I posted the link in the comments too. And you can just join, and you can also we also broadcast like sometimes like specials about COVID-19, and you can just join in the voice chat too. Discord is very easy to use. You can just jump in server, and there are many already, about 300 now joined over the last 2 days, and they'll be very interested to discuss with you. They're from all over the world, so there is a Discord server in the comments. You can see the link there. This is on
So I
Facebook.
mean, it really is getting the barrier between you and the outside environment. I think plenty of times on all of the pages. I think it's a great question and something that I will redouble our efforts to get info out there. But the shirts, scarves, anything that's really a cloth material, you can make a mask out of. But I do think there was a couple. We got some hand sanitizer that's approved by the DYI hand sanitizer that's approved by the WHO. I think the masks are approved by the WHO as well. But yeah, we will post all of that. You can make them at home, and they work just as well. From all of the research that's been done, is going out and getting the $10, M3 ones.
I think hand sanitizer. All you need is Everclear, the 151 proof Everclear, aloe vera, and dishwashing liquid soap. I think that's it.
There's some, and you can.
I think
There's levels. There's a couple other things in there, but there's levels of disinfectant you can. So I mean, there's the one that the WHO gives you that we can post and all of that. But in a pinch, okay, you can use all sorts of different things. And I think in the Anarchist Cookbook, there is plenty of good information. If you guys do not have a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook, you really need to get it. Because
Yeah.
there's other shit in there that isn't the the kind of just random talked about chapters in there, right? But things like hand sanitizer, PPE, the face mask we're making, which are relatively easy, post the files for that, so you can just plug it into your 3D printer and you can print out as many as you want.
Yeah, and real quick, if you don't have time to look at the whole do-it-yourself articles, the Cambridge pretty much says you have you can use vacuum cleaner bags. It sounds weird, but you have the average vacuum cleaner bag is a second in best protecting after the N95 masks. They are close to protecting you at the same level. You have to make a mask out of it, of course. It takes a little work, but it vacuum cleaner wax works. Tea towels, a double tea towel works actually better even than an N95 masks. It protects you to 97%, but breathing is very difficult in double tea towels. You can also use a double layer of cotton. These are cotton t-shirts or pillowcases. If they're made of cotton, then do a double layer. This protects you 70 to 80%. Cambridge University actually recommends this because it's very easy to breathe through cotton t-shirts, etc. So if you want at least some protection, you can use a double t-shirt or double pillowcase. So that's real quick.
Oh, it got all quiet all of a sudden.
Oh, I was sorry. I had a little bit of lag there. I just wanted to make sure that he had gotten all that information out. I mean, we are really, there isn't a, so if you're making them for yourself and your family and all of that, you're taking some of the load off of those that need to get to medical professionals. So, I mean, just by making them, just the more self-sufficient that you are, the less of a strain you are on the community that's already trying to, make up the difference for government inaction.
Well, people ought to, in my mind, people ought to be prepped by now. For all the reasons we always stated, whether it's hurricanes or Ebola or, how many incidences is it going to take where you should have been like amping up every time and you'd be ready for this shit,
Yeah, it's a question I ask a lot, and that it doesn't seem to me, although there's lots of stress because, we have to try to help out as many people as we can. I don't see it as like snuck up on us or even like had a lack of time to prepare. I feel like we had lots of time. We still have time to prepare. If you're in a place that hasn't been hit yet, that you're not, lockdown, make sure that you're taking the right precautions, but now's the time. Get ready.
Yeah, same thing with the government. I mean, you had three, China you could kind of see because, I mean, they were the first hit. Okay, they're not prepared. That makes sense. But why are we sitting here 2, 3 months later acting like we don't know, no test kits, no ventilators, no plan, no nothing? It's a shit show, man.
And I feel like they should have, I understand that maybe you didn't come out and tell the public about it, but you're telling me that every agency, the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, all of these clandestine shit, you guys, all the murders, you guys got people, evil shit, and nobody knew about this?
Yeah, you could tap every phone apparently, but you didn't know what was going on, really.
Yeah,
Come
but
on.
they have known the truth. You didn't have satellites looking. You don't have, like, what are you doing?
Their stories just don't add up. No matter what story or narrative they tell you, the story doesn't add up. It's 90% plus BS at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes into all of you can't trust them. They're constantly lying to you, and then when you sit down and think about it, none of it makes sense. So you get these stories. Well, it wasn't from the this. There's no way this is biomedical lab. Well, where's the closest biomedical lab? Oh, right next to Wuhan, right next to the market. All right, guys. They said, it's 5,000 miles away. There's no way that it could be there. It's just not. Well, it's right next door. Well, what do you guys research on? Oh, COVID dealing with bats. What do they sell at the market? Bats. You couldn't have. I mean, at least give me a good story, right? Tell me it's a factory that makes chemicals or something. You'd obviously there's something else here. I don't pretend to know what it is. I'm not going to go or many of that. Who fucking knows which psychopaths are involved? But
Well,
this doesn't up.
how is it that multi-billion-dollar agencies have such shitty PR and stories that aren't even ready? What are all you people doing? I mean, that's like one of the first things you could do. It's like the easiest thing you could do because it's all bullshit. You can do it in some, you know, office, at your morning meeting. But you haven't even done that.
Yeah, I don't like it seems I would love for this to be like some, Illuminati style, culling of the population, but I honestly don't think that these people have their shit together enough to even be evil. Everything that you see around you is come through complete and utter buffoonery and ignorance, I think would be the right way to put it. I would like it. I would almost respect it way more. If you guys, yeah, this is the plan. We're gonna get rid of a third of the population. This is it, guys. NWO. But I really don't think that any of these people are fucking smart enough. The shit's going bad because they are that stupid.
Well, no, the time was spent on planning the criminal activity and that hijacking that took place in the first couple of days there. That was the big shammy of it all. You see, all that went down perfectly in a couple of days. The rest of this, of course, it's going to take time because this is the part where the little guy's getting fucked.
Oh yeah,
that's going to take a long time. Getting your check, all of a sudden, oh man, all of a sudden the printing presses ain't working right. It's going to take 2 weeks. Then it might be 20 weeks. It's like whatever, man. See, you're just not a priority at all.
It looks like the rich and powerful took a massive payout, disappeared to their private islands and private yachts, and you're the dumb fucks that paid us right before everything collapsed.
Maybe we should mention the whole new surveillance things which they are rolling out. I think in the US they're also having like anti-encryption proposals.
Yeah, anti-encryption law. I think who said that in our chat room? I'm not going to say his name because he's pretty serious hacker, but he was talking about it. How they're trying to pass an anti-encryption law. I saw on Apple on the suggestions in the App Store there was the COVID-19 app, which is they're saying that they didn't produce it, but they produced it for the CDC. So I would probably not put on your phone and answer any of the questions. I'm not sure if anybody is taking it apart. There's been some other weird things that have been going on online. I know a lot of people are doing Zoom meetings and has put a lot of the info security in Zoom. They need to patch their shit because apparently when you log into Zoom, it's given up Windows logins. Yeah. I'm not joking. I have the post, somebody who ripped it apart.
It just seems like you'd almost have to have done that on purpose.
It's like some weird security flaw from a teardown. Hold on, where is it? Oh God, did he take it down? Here you go. Putting it in the chat room.
Oh my God.
Here.
Oh my God.
If you guys just want us to talk about something, just put it in the comments. I mean,
I will jump in here for a second. At the beginning of the show, I said, what are we going to do?
Zoom clients leaks Windows login credentials.
Turning around the East Coast.
Yeah. But I don't know what better way to introduce surveillance, than at a time like this onto the American people. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is going to be bad, guys. When I was talking about the floods and we are all in lockdown, we cannot go to our refugee centers. And I mean, literally, this posted 3 hours ago and I just didn't pick it. So we must have been just starting.
About the storms that are coming. Yeah, I saw that too on CNN on a post. Yeah.
I don't know, it's not, and again, these people are going to act like they didn't know this are coming. And I mean, I don't, can we be any obvious. We've talked about it for 2.5 hours now, and yet they're going to come out and say, "Oh, we had no idea."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zoom does sell the info, Sarah. That is true. But
Yeah,
that
if you
most
put
of
it,
them do
if
it.
you, I think if you, what is it saying? So there's a parameter problem. I don't know. I don't. Hold on. What language is that? Is that C? That's C, right? Get char string.
I'm not seeing the code here. Did you post the code?
Yeah, right there.
It's not showing up on mine. Stand by.
Oh, so if you just even I guess UNPC UNC paths into clickable messages and chats.
That's Python.
No, well, not. You sure?
Yeah.
It's not Python. You can't put double. You can't put double colons like that.
Colons to the back. You're right. You're right. You're right.
I don't know.
We'll have to go through the code here and see why that happened.
It's the problems with security researcher at God mode. Discovered the Zoom client will convert your Windows networking UNC pass into a clickable link in a chat message as well. As you can see from the chat message, the regular URL at CPAT both converted into clickable image. So what's the wonder about that? So I'm guessing after you do this, you can click on the link and it'll give up your Windows password. Okay. All right.
Yeah, with Zoom, it will broadcast your login info. And since most people have their Zoom account connected to their email, they're pretty much giving you their login for Zoom and everything else is connected to that email.
But isn't Zoom cross-platform? Is it? I've never seen it on Linux. I've never seen it on a Linux box.
That's a good question.
Let me see.
Use it other than we've had a couple of guests that wanted to use it, but not
Zoom
into
client for Linux. Yes, they do have it. Okay. That might be a workaround right there.
Yeah, the main problem seems to be with Windows. So it is converting UNC paths into clickable hyperlinks. You have on a bleeping computer, it gives an article about it, and it actually does give a way to prevent the anti-LM credentials from being sent to the service, but you have to do some manual settings, but this is not okay. I mean, Zoom needs to handle this because normal users are not always going to do these manual settings. So,
Also, yeah.
yeah, no, it's like a serious flaw again.
Yeah. Also, if you guys are planning to have Zoom meetings, please don't post your meeting credentials with the passwords online. Got to post it somewhere. Make sure it's only between you and the parties that need to get involved. There are people that need the platform for serious things, but they've just been swarmed by trolls. You can turn off screen sharing. That gets rid of a lot of them.
It just seems like recently, like every bit of software that comes out from these big companies is just riddled with horrible programming, security flaws. You click on it and it gives out your Windows user info. Like, do they not have anybody look at it before they launch it? You would think that.
Well, the InfoSec security really wasn't interested in it until it became the platform of choice during all of the safer in place stuff. I don't know why, because there are other options that are a little better. Zoom costs a little bit of money if you want the meetings to go past 40 minutes. I don't think that they've been instituting the pay right now because it's in high demand. But there are other platforms you can do besides Zoom. You can do a Skype, but Skype's not 100% reliable. You can do
There's quality issues Skype, and there's like always cutting off and things like.
always cutting off. Yeah, they have that problem. Yeah.
So I would argue the big problem with Zoom is actually that it's paid software. Most people use like a free software like Discord or whatever, like Telegram, and that is because it is free. So and if it's free, that has more users and it is being pen tested better. People find bugs faster. This was the same like at some point you had like the antivirus software, right? And at some point the free antivirus software just became a lot better than the paid software because everyone was using it. And I'm a big fan of open source for this reason, like fully open source, and everyone should be able to pen test it and harden it at that point that it becomes like super safe. Like,
Yeah.
you can like, in this time like you're paying for a service like Zoom and it's just insecure. It's like this shouldn't happen. Like you're paying for it too. Like how would you pay it? Discord is free and it's far more secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
think you
of.
can do video now. I think you can do screen share. It says, let me see this new it says go live. I don't know what that means.
Oh, on the on Discord.
Yeah, on the web app version.
Okay, I was gonna say, and
No,
nobody
you can't see that
nobody
on
wants
the mobile version. So
was told I've got a face for radio. I like how we got it set up now. We'd lose. You think we're losing? We lose quick. Hey,
I know you can do video chats on in group discussion chats though. Oh well.
yeah. It says in here, Colorado State University predicts above normal hurricane season. I don't even know if we're gonna make it that far. Like this is coming now, and what I said next week, but that's when normally floods start. These storms, we can't afford to have anything else happen. Like we don't have enough to do what we're doing. Anything else will fuck this up so much more, and nobody planned.
Terrence, everything's great. I don't know why you can't think bigly. What's the matter with you?
Oh, please God, do not let Biden fucking win. I can't do a Biden. I tried. I sat in the mirror for a good 45 minutes and tried to pull off a good Biden, and I just can't. I just can't do it. So yeah, we're gonna have to get somebody. One of the other panelists is gonna have to do. I'm looking at you, right? You're gonna have to do both Trump and and Biden.
Biden, yeah, Biden, man, I don't know. He's tough. I just
Yeah,
can't come out with the kind of outrageous shit that he says. I mean,
I
his
think
brain just totally diswires and comes up with shit.
I think I'd have to get drunk to pull off a good Biden because you have to wander from one idea to the other, just like seamlessly.
Yeah, he used to be good at that. Well, now he's getting so bad, he can't even fucking remember. He can't even remember to look at the teleprompter. So it's getting pretty
But
bad.
I don't think we're going to spend too much time on it. But just while we're there, I don't know how he managed to walk away from this terror thing. Like the huge deal we made about Kavanaugh and Trump's the bullshit and all of these, the whole Me Too movement, and then as soon as it came to Biden, literally fucking like sexually assaulting a woman in the fucking hallway and nothing, crickets. Even Alyssa Milano, which is like the two fucking like front man, and not a word. In fact, she's defending him. What is going on? I mean, this is what was the comedian that turned senator? Al Franken? Is it Al
Oh
Franken?
yeah,
Yeah, like they crucified him, right? And I mean, he fucked up too big. Like you told, like that she wanted nothing to do with you, and he kind of turned like every joke had to do with him fucking like molesting her. But
Well, he's
com-
just not a good. He just wasn't a good Democrat because any good Democrat would have just ignored it and not given a shit, and eventually it blows over. He let the pressure get to him. He's like a Republican rhino because
yeah,
they can't take any pressure at all. They just cave in immediately. They're total pussies.
I
Yeah.
just I can't. I don't understand how they're able to just walk, like, just completely ignore, like, not just, it's beyond ignore it. I mean, this happened, y'all. And, it's not even like they asked the question, nothing. And the entire, like, fake progressive left is just, I mean, going with it, I guess. And I don't know if you guys know exactly down on this, but I guess, Biden had made some advances at her. She wasn't really interested. He waits till she's going down the hallway, pins her up against the wall, and sticks his fingers inside. And then when she finally gets away from him and pushes him away, right, and I quote, "Oh, come on, man. I thought you liked." Like, we made a huge deal about Trump, right? T-shirts, grab him by the pussy, blah, blah, blah. I heard grab him by the 100 fucking times. Biden stopped a woman in the fucking hallway and grabbed her by the fucking pussy. And you guys are just letting it go. Like, he didn't just rape that woman in the hallway of the fucking Senate.
Well, it's important to be selective. If you're going to be a good partisan hack or a good party member, you have to know how to selectively be offended and selectively virtue signal as well. That's very important.
There is a video, a PSA that Joe Biden and Lady Gaga did about sexual assault and all of that stuff. It is the creepiest video you will ever see after knowing all the shit you know about Biden.
Well, Lady Gaga's out there. Ain't no doubt about it.
What the fuck is President Duarte doing?
And just to add icing to the cake, because of coronavirus,
What's going on in the Philippines, dude?
Oh, he gave an order to shoot anybody that violates the stay home order. Shoot them in the head. Exact words.
Shoot them in the head? People who violate the stay home order in the
Yeah,
Philippines.
if
Who
you're
did that?
outside of the thing, his order was shoot them dead in the head. Sorry, is what he had said.
Oh, that's okay. Who said that?
The president of Philippines, but the president of Philippines is a mass murderer. That is his answer to fucking everything. Like, dude's killed
Yeah.
4,000 people as it is.
Yeah, he's very authoritarian.
He says, "Do not intimidate the government. Do not change the government." What?
Okay.
But sorry to
I
get
will
back
not hesitate. My orders are to the police and military.
out of prison because of coronavirus. Bill Cosby and Weinstein.
Are you saying Bill Cosby and Weinstein are out of prison and Julian Assange is still imprisoned?
Exactly. They're petitioning them right now to get them out of prison. They're elderly and in danger, health issues and because of coronavirus. And Julian Assange is still being held in prison.
Oh my god. And just to give a picture of it, like Belmarsh prison, Julian Assange is a prison from the 1900s. It's a really outdated prison with very bad healthcare facilities, very bad sanitary facilities too. He shouldn't be in there.
Well, I mean, he shouldn't be there at all. But with this coming in, I think this is a great opportunity to just move right along.
Yeah, we're pushing hard for Julian to be released. I mean, Doctors for Assange is pushing hard too. But so far, no success yet. So.
There's only 2 people in, like, the solitary confinement at all, like him and one other guy. And he's not a murderer. He's not like any of those. No risk to the public whatsoever.
To be fair, if he is really still in solitary, it might actually be safer for him at this moment if it is true that there's already infections going on there. But how how are guards infected? That's also the question. And what else is going on? Like, yeah.
Yeah, the what else is going on is what bothers me because they found metal in his food. They've done all sorts of really evil shit already. Do I trust the US government not to infect him with coronavirus? Fuck no, I don't. These are evil people. Expect them to do evil. I mean, I hate to come out with it just like straight like that, but I can't like sugarcoat it. These are evil people.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to sound like conspiracy, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, right?
Look, they tried to genetically modify, and this is genetically modified bees to sting Fidel Castro. And you're telling me they won't send a sick guard in to give fucking Julian his food?
Yeah, and all the focus is on the COVID thing now, on the coronavirus thing. So it's another opportunity for them, I think. But we're keeping it alive. I mean, we're still posting about it every single day. We're still trying to get attention. So perhaps that is a thing that keeps him safe. That we're all asking attention for it.
Yeah, and I think when they first did, I really do think they expected it to kind of go away. And it with all of the whistleblowers and journalists that have arrested, have been arrested or detained or killed, it hasn't went away. You know, their idea that they were just going to hide him away, that never happened. You know, they were just gonna torture and murder Khashoggi in a basement real quick. They've done it 1,000 times before. Who gives a fuck? Well, it turns out the world does now.
Yeah.
Right, but when they did it, they were still under the impression that the world that they were used to, the world that they're protecting, still existed, where they can murder, they can put people in prison, they can do this horrible shit, and nobody's going to call them out on it. And I'd argue, like, we're to the point now, the corporate media has been brought down so fucking low, ABB has got twice the voice of any of the corporate news at the moment. Like I said, these guys can barely get a live stream together. Fucking Chris Como is broadcasting him from his fucking basement.
Yeah, I mean, like platforms like Fatbook are of course scared of our live streams and trying to censor it. But with like so many platforms, it doesn't really matter. Have them try it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and look, if we ever do a show and we don't get censored, I'd be worried, right? We're not doing our job. They don't censor people that are liars, right? Liars get to speak freely.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're a good enough liar, they'll hire you, right? If you're a professional liar, they'll hire you to be a controlled opposition. It's the truth that they're truly scared of because they can spend $1 trillion putting out, lies, and it'll be undone with one post with truth.
Yeah, and like they can't censor people who really want to fight for their human rights. I mean, we move to other places where they can't touch us, and like on Discord, for example, we have servers with thousands of people in it already. They're all very active. They're talking all day long. They're sharing their stuff together, and like if you're going to censor people like us from like Facebook or Twitter, yeah, there are thousands of people in certain servers where we are, and we just have to post like a message, please share this on Facebook, or please share this on Twitter, and thousands of people will do it. So it is not it's impossible to censor people who really fight for their human rights. I mean, there are people who give up or do it for money or whatever, but there are also people who are doing this all day long. And they don't care. They will always find a way.
But in there's, I mean, I think I speak for like all of us. Like we love doing it, right? I get to wake up every morning, fuck with Monsanto, help as many people as possible, spread truth, right? Like really stick it to the fucking system. I love that.
Yeah, I see you doing this all day. Like I watch your Twitter and you post all these things, like also helping people in need. We're always very impressed with it. You know, we don't agree on like political things, but we agree on everything else, like the human rights part, especially. I mean, yeah.
And I'm not in love with I'm not in love with politics. It's like something we got to talk about. But look, even the politicians that I like, I don't really trust them. They're politicians. Calm down.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I know you're smart.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those I don't demand or expect people to agree with me on anything, and although I try to be like forward and funny, and sometimes like I would say something that's direct, but I don't throw names around. I don't think I've ever called any on any of them. Like I never go that route. I don't have to. Why? Why would I call a war anything other than a? That's a waste of time.
Yeah, no, true, true. Yeah, I'm at a point I just don't trust any politician anymore. Like anywhere in the world, by the way. It's not anything specific. It has to do with these big, powerful lobby groups, and it becomes more disturbing each day. I've seen these groups. I know what they do, and I see what kind of emails they send. I know what kind of calls they make, and I've seen all the insides of these groups, and they're everywhere. And I mean, even in my own country, Netherlands, 400 lobby groups are in The Hague, and they're literally emailing to politicians, do this, make this, and we had journalists infiltrate this system, create fake lobby groups, and they managed to make politicians say what they want in like less than 3-4 days. So this is a bullshit story.
Yeah, and I see the same. I think you guys are, I mean, 100% correct, like on point. When the government isn't going to pull us out of this, right? And you can see on who's doing the work, right? You haven't seen a single politician break a sweat, not at all. They worked for one weekend, like in all reality, and then they work 3 months a year. Where the nurses and doctors that are out, the guys that are ambulances, the scientists, the people that are spreading the word, the people that are making devices and knitting and like sewing, all of these people, right, real people are the only thing holding any of this up,
Yeah.
and they're the only people that are really going to affect this. And I know there's there's plenty of people that want to be out in the streets and all of that, and I totally dig it. I know we had some conversations earlier with some, and I understand that want and need, like we got to get back out in the streets and we got to fight. But the best thing that we can do, sit put, sit tight, stay inside, wash your hands, and let this blow over, right? And we have an opportunity, especially if you're on a said this in the chat, right? The entire world is online right now, all of them, which means you have more cover than you will ever get in your lifetime. You will never have more people online, and that includes the shitty hackers and script kiddies and people that are just getting into shit, and give you more cover than you have ever had in your lifetime. You are free to move about the fucking country online, right? You can monitor people that you would have never considered doing it because 1,000 other fucking assholes that have no idea what, right, monitoring them. Right now is the time to get all of the real shit that you wanted to get done.
Yeah, and also like when you're in like a crisis, people need to understand what their true power is, and that is like you don't have to destroy your government to actually fix your country. You have to just take charge in a way that you don't have to fight with them in any way. You just have to do it together, right? You have to work together. Like in this virus thing, you don't have to infect other people. You can find you if you all do this together and make sure you don't infect each other, and you just do this. It doesn't matter what the government says. You keep the distance, and you don't go out if it's not needed. All these things, like you can do this.
And there's right now at this very moment, that kind of into the we can do this. You don't have to wait for them to do it. Right now, there is a huge push for a global ceasefire. And terrorist organizations, militaries all over the world, people that have been yeah, and they're they are stopping, they are shutting down. Look, right now,
That's only a matter of time, Terrence. It's only a matter of time before they start doing it again. But right now, there's no war.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. Look, the world has been at war for 10,000 years. There was a time much longer than this, right? About 200,000 years where we didn't have global, where we didn't murder each other. So we did go a time much longer, not murdering each other than we went murdering each other. But the point is, there's always an excuse for war. You're always looking for an excuse to war. You always got a reason to go to war. Now you got a reason to go to peace. Now you got an excuse to go to peace. Let's take it. If you ever had a moment, if you ever had a reason why you could go to peace, if that's been the excuse forever, right? My granddaddy, so we got to keep on this fucking cycle for all time because we never have an excuse to go to peace. Now you got an excuse. Let's do it.
Well, Terrence, no, there are no wars going on right now. Like there literally are none.
The U.S. is still bombing. Still bombing Iraq and bombing Syria.
Yeah.
Yemen, also Yemen. Don't forget about
Yeah.
Yemen.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
The wars have stopped all over the world except for the U.S. I mean,
Yeah,
I
what are they
don't
doing for
like.
social distancing in the military? I mean, they keep it 6 foot apart there, and I mean, inquiring minds want to
No,
know.
nope. They're just hiding the numbers of the infected in the military to not just seem weak in front of our enemies. And you saw what happened on the ship. You're on your own.
Yeah,
Our barracks are. If we live in the military is not set up to deal with a global pandemic. We can exist in an environment that something, but we put on our PPE, we put on our NBC gear, we fight in that environment, and then a completely different group of soldiers disinfects it, takes it off of you, handles all of that stuff, and then you go back to your barracks. You do not like that's what I'm saying. When you go through the military, you get a week of biological training. You're trained to put your on and off and fire your weapon. That's it. You
so
weren't
if the
taught it.
military if the
No, go ahead.
military's not ready, how are we going to get all these stupid civilians to follow along and do what they're supposed to?
I don't think we're going to.
Good answer.
They're just not cut. We're not trained for that. We're not set up for that. Our living conditions of war have not changed very much. You get 50 guys living in a tent. We share a shitload of. And even everybody that's been to training base, there's the troop croup, right, which is this weird lung infection that it's just from all people coming for the country and all over the place. You end up sharing, you know what I mean, upper respiratory infections, things like that. And the bases constantly, you have flus go through a lot, STDs, I mean, off the charts. And it's because you've got people that are living, I mean, right next to each other, and that's what the military's set up to do. We ain't set up for this. And it blows my mind. We have Space Force, not Med Force. We didn't immediately go out and start, hiring as many people as we could. We said, oh, the National Guard will take it. A guy that works, 1 month a year, every other weekend, 2 months a year, something like that, is going to handle a global pandemic.
He's been trained by our government. He knows exactly what to do, and that's follow orders.
If there's one thing you hear active duty members talk about, it's how well prepared the.
If he's told that putting a boot on your face will get rid of the virus, he'll do it. That's
Well, I
what's
think,
important.
to be honest, what options does a soldier have? I can shoot you, or I can beat the fuck out of you, but I'm a soldier. I'm not sure if you looked at my job description. Right? It says ground infantry. What did you expect him to do? He's not a medic.
Well, because treating you like shit is going to make this virus go away. I mean, everybody knows that.
I'll tell you exactly what you do. You exactly what we're trained to do. Unruly to the person that I assume is the leader. I crack him in the face as hard as I possibly can with the butt of my gun. Disperse it.
That gets everybody's attention.
You're breaking
That's
up a
for
lot,
sure.
Terrence.
That's what you're trained to do. That's the reality. That's who you're putting on the ground to deal with civilians in a pandemic.
Man, I'm sure glad we have leaders like this that know how to treat us like shit and keep us in line, man. I mean, that's going to make us freer and kill this virus.
Oh, you're gonna have so much freedom. It is kind of weird, and they said in one of the, I forget if it was a press conference or which person said it, but they said you're supposed to use a scarf if you don't have a mask. Just put a scarf around your face. And I almost fell out of my chair, guys, because we have hit literally everything that talk radio said was going to happen during the Obama administration is happening right now, complete with you being required to.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, he's cutting off sometimes, Terrence.
Well, it's more of that censorship because he was talking bad about the government, and we're just not going to have that.
Yeah.
Transmission interrupted.
Okay. Even though cotton scarves would work, it is hitting rock bottom. Like what he also want to explain. I think.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't hit that Japanese level. Remember when that politician over there said that if you smiled, the radiation wouldn't hurt you? We haven't
Yeah, I
achieved that
do.
yet.
Yeah. No, this is insane.
Don't worry about neutrinos or don't worry about microscopic nuclear particles stripping apart your DNA. But if you smile, it'll the atoms, the microscopic atoms that are tearing apart your DNA structure, they'll just go the other direction because you're smiling.
No, the Soviet Russia did the same thing. Like with Chernobyl, the Soviet Russia did the same thing back then. Like even like all our countries were like banning food. You couldn't even eat fresh food anymore from the land and stuff. Like everything was banned. But near Chernobyl and stuff, people were told, "It's not so bad. It's all fine." Right?
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
A little bit of glowing bread doesn't.
You have like glowing people.
Oh yeah, I remember. I was a kid. Like I was still little. The only thing that I remember being weird, we couldn't eat. It was like citrus fruit. It was a certain fruit that we couldn't eat. Do you remember what it was?
Grapefruit.
There was just. I remember there was a certain fruit. I mean, I was so little. I don't like. When did Chernobyl go off? I was a little kid.
88 or 80.
And we were like,
86?
if
It was
the
86.
if the winds were going a certain way or something, I think it had something to do with the weather. Like I said, I remember being a little kid, but there were certain times where we couldn't go outside.
Yeah.
Like they just that they didn't want the radioactive winds like carrying it. But yeah, they told us that we couldn't go outside. We had to stay indoors over that time. And behind, if you had concrete, you're supposed to stay in the like middle part of the concrete. I know. I was little. It all seemed like none of it made sense. Like I didn't understand what was going on around me.
Hey, nothing's changed.
Oh no! To be honest, there's way more radiation in the world now. Like compared to Chernobyl compared to Fukushima, right? Like they just said,
Oh yeah, yeah. You thought the Russians were screwed up. Let's let a first world nation show you how to dump it straight into the ocean, man, and
Yeah.
tell you that that's the solution, and do it for 10 years. They're
You're
still doing
an island nation that relies pretty much, completely on fishing. Just opens up and just let it go into the ocean. It ain't our problem no more. The entire Pacific Ocean is radioactive now, and they act like it's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, Chernobyl poisoned the land, right? And Fukushima poisoned the ocean. It's like you're doing both.
The frack poison the air.
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Chernobyl. I mean, that makes the Russians look like geniuses. At least they handled it in some kind of reasonable manner, and you didn't just poison an ocean.
Yeah, I mean, come in, and I'm not saying that you had to do this, but I mean, maybe you and the Koreans should have worked together a little bit. Take one for the team.
Yeah, what was so honorable about dumping it in the ocean? Why was that? That's like something we would do. But that's America. We're scumbags. We don't care. But you guys are supposed to be honorable. Where's the honor in that?
Yeah, that was weak. I really, I mean, I understand you're gonna have to move. There was some bad calls that were made there, but just opening them up and let it just go into the Pacific to poison the entire like ocean. And it's not like it's not your fault. Like this is still your bad.
Yeah, why did you build it in? You just had to build it in a tsunami zone and an earthquake zone. Close to the water. I mean, give me a break, man. You couldn't have done anything more fucked up.
Yeah, you couldn't have put it in a worse place if you wanted to. Like I said, if this was by design, it would be, I mean, some quality evil, right? But no, this is just out of complete stupidity.
Yeah, it's just politicians and corporations that really don't care. It's about their bottom line and keeping a face on it, even if it's totally fake, and then passing laws so that you can't say anything about it. That's very important because we don't want you to talk about how stupid we are.
No, that's terrorism. I mean, speaking
Yeah.
of that, right? Like, okay, so we've all seen the sprayer videos, you know, big trucks and the guys with backpacks on spraying stuff anywhere. Has anybody actually heard what they're spraying? I haven't heard a single person give me any like any, you know, they'll say disinfectant, but then that's it. Like, what are you spraying all over everything?
Well, you don't need to
it's,
know.
it's a
It's not
good
important what
question.
they're spraying on you.
It actually makes no logical sense because the virus
You read
starts to
viruses?
yeah, it really starts to decay.
Yeah,
So
that makes
by it makes
zero.
no sense.
So, I mean, and I don't know if our viewers know this, but I mean, the way that you kill viruses is through UV light. So, spraying stuff, whatever they're spraying, is not. I mean, that it may kill a virus, it may kill fucking everything. But if your goal was to kill the virus, you would run big ass UV lights over it, and the sun kicks off a huge amount of UV radiation. So, what are they spraying? And you would think that would be mentioned. And I mean, I've seen now helicopters and drones and trucks and backpacks and all of this stuff, and not one of them said we're spraying a mixture of you know alcohol of you know what are you spraying over us? And question number two, where's Monsanto? Because I really and I don't want to go down that, but I have a sneaking suspicion I'm gonna find out what the fuck you guys are spraying, and there's gonna be fucking Monsanto standing right there.
I know in China at first they were like spraying like disinfectant stuff on the streets. Later on, yeah, everything was like depleted, so they started to spraying like bleach and things.
Happier with bleach than you know some weird version of Agent Orange that they're trying to push off on us again.
Yeah, I think at first they were doing that. The weird agents. I saw like videos of people who were just like behind computers in some room, like maybe like 50 students or something, and then some guys they like suddenly come in. They like open the door, they spray everything like a huge fume of some chemical. These people didn't even know what was happening to them. Like they were like, oh, it was like everywhere, and then they leave again. Like, what's
Yeah,
going on?
pop in like others and then take off again. But it, you know, there was what did you just spray them with? I mean, you can't trade dying, you know, quick for dying slow.
No, exactly.
If you're a world leader and you're standing in the same room as a Monsanto exec right now, you are poisoning your people, no doubt.
Yeah, and then
And
even
now,
then, the government will say like, yeah, but the Monsanto stuff, it is all approved, so it is safe.
oh yeah, and there was hard decisions to make. We had to make the hard decision.
Yeah, but that's how they will hide, right? They will say like, no, you can't blame us because you approved this stuff from Monsanto, so we just assumed it was the right stuff to use.
Well, and you get into the situation where so Monsanto you know sold you all this crap to spray all everybody and gives them cancer. Well, who produces the cancer drugs? Well, Monsanto Merck.
Yeah, Bayer of course makes all that stuff. It's like the biggest
Yeah,
pharma.
yeah. So it's like okay, so you're gonna spray everybody and give me cancer and then sell me the cancer drug.
Yeah.
Again, I've never seen a single, and I've posted, I mean, tons of these videos of them spraying stuff, and not a single one says what they're spraying. I hope it's bleach. Bleach is fine. Bleach is fine.
Yeah, compared to that stuff, it's fine. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, and we can break down bleach with enzymes. Like, bleach isn't quite as destructive as some of the other stuff that they can spray on you. But again, if you're standing in an office with a Monsanto exec, he is poisoning your people. And will seriously come around and charge you $1 million a pop for the cancer drug to cure your kid.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the future, they probably want to make this a chronic disease, like they do with so many things. This is with AIDS too, right? You have to like take. You'll be fine if you take like 30 different medicines a day. You have to pay for.
Yeah, 30 different medicines of the most.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to make this chronic, right? And that's what they're aiming for. And they want to make people hooked. And cancer is another opportunity to do this. Like, they probably would be perfectly able to find a cure for it, but they prefer to keep people hooked to it. Just like the insulin for diabetes. I don't know what happened there.
No, I'm just having a little bit of connection problem. We've got.
But there you went.
But also, I dropped out of the entire Discord. It seems I had to restart Discord. Weird. No, I was just saying no, the people on the listeners actually heard it, but no, they want to make it chronic, right? Get you hooked, and like the AIDS medicines, you have it with cancer. They probably will be perfectly able to find a cure, but they prefer to make people hooked. Kind of like the insulin for diabetes patients.
Well, I don't know if I had talked about this or posted about it, about people that are on insulin right now. So even Medicaid or Blue Shield and those insurance companies are asking for people on insulin to pay $600 upfront, like cash, for their medication, and then do that every month. So they want the first one up front, $600 cash, and then that very next dose, you got to do it again, another $600 up front. But the stimulus checks are only $600.
Yeah, and let me make it worse. So you're getting the insulin from a company like Bayer Monsanto, right? And it's like it helps you against the diabetes, but you're getting the diabetes from companies like McDonald's that actually use like the soy grown with Monsanto Bayer GMO, and you're literally you're, you're getting the food from the people who are providing you the insulin, and you're getting and they're providing you with the diabetes too.
Yeah, they've set like it's such a sick cycle that they've put us on. And yeah, which is why, like, as soon as I saw those sprayers going, I was like, no, 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 no. I've seen this before. I know where this goes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I agree.
And then the Coca-Cola too, right? It's just as bad. Nestle and Coca-Cola, all combined with the burger companies. They're giving you diabetes, and then they're curing you with the Monsanto. No, they're not curing you. They're keeping you hooked. Yeah.
Yeah, watching Coca-Cola do a commercial about recycling, I mean, it makes you want to throw up.
Oh yeah.
Coca-Cola, right, is the companies go, right? Coca-Cola is the biggest plastic polluter on the planet.
Yeah,
Right?
microplastics is huge. Like insanity. It goes into the drinking water. It's everywhere. The microplastics from Coca-Cola. Like.
Yeah, and the audacity for them to be doing a green commercial is just it's just like look, too much hypocrisy. Like you got to sit down when you watch it. But yeah, we got a couple of people that commented in here as well. But people are gonna make hard we're gonna have to make what would you do to get your wife or your kid insulin? You make some hard, then you'll make some hard fucking decisions. And it just seems so odd that the numbers that that they put to get insulin are identical to what you're getting in your stimulus check. So pretty much, if you're on insulin, when you get your stimulus check, you're back at zero.
Hey, going back to that, you were questioning like what are they spraying on you? I mean, it's probably vegetable oil. Wasn't that what they were spraying on the guys up there at Standing Rock? They went to all that trouble of spraying you guys with that vegetable oil, so there's nothing to worry about.
Oh yeah, sure. That's what they were spraying.
Yeah, I just remembered that.
I think it ended up being what, rat poison?
If you're
Oh my god.
lucky.
Yeah. No, no. They in one of the guys had brought in a couple of uh, cattle, a buffalo, and some venison that had just keeled over dead in this one spot, and they brought them to DNR. Um, DNR checked them, said yeah they've got rat poison, and then when we went to go back to check on it, the government had came in and taken all of the animals. Well, we made a big stink about it, couldn't get any answers, nobody cared. Well, then it turned out that they were storing, knew about it, that they were storing a neurotoxin rat poison in these big sheds right off of Standing Rock, and it's dispersed in like the wind and dirt when the wind blows, and yeah, they just pretty much poisoned everybody at Standing Rock with fucking rat poison and acted like they didn't know about it and completely hid the fact and knew that the place where it was leaking from was right there. If it's any consolation, they exposed all the police and fucking infiltrators to it too. So just in case you're one of the cops that came up there, look forward to dying of fucking rat poison in the future.
Oh, so they got it too, huh?
Oh yeah. Just in case you were confused at exactly how expendable you were, and maybe that's important. Maybe that's important. They need you to die off so that you don't, you could grow a conscience at any time and talk about what was going on there, right? Talk about what was going on the inside. So, there's a good chance they wanted to get rid of you.
Yeah. Uh, that's also a very good point, and that is like that in like a war, the traitors, like if there's a part like you have a war between two groups, right? And one group wins. The first ones who are always being shot or taken care of are the traitors from the other group, the people who like collaborated,
Oh
because
yeah, of course.
yeah, they are the most unreliable, right?
Yeah, they'll turn on you for money. They're mercenaries.
Yeah. So
Well, it
that's something
seems
to
to
think about.
that seems to have changed though in the modern world because now if you lower the drawbridge and you bring them in, you're like this great hero. I mean, things have really changed.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unless you make them look bad, right? And then they'll feed you to the wolves, right? You're the Alex Jones, right? When they're done with you, they got no love, act like they don't even know who you are.
Yeah, saying that many governments even respect the protesters more than they respect the traders. But the traders, yeah, they do the job for the government, but their only power, like these police, they have this power, but their only power is actual uniform. When they take the uniform off, they're worth nothing. Like they get home, they don't wear the uniform, they're worth nothing anymore to these people in power. So yeah, they're gullible and they're ready to betray their fellow countrymen, fellow citizens for money. So yeah, worth very little, very easy to manipulate. So
Oh yeah, look at the poor like police departments in New York now that are suffering from coronavirus. Right? If you beat a black man in the middle of the fucking street, right, choke him to death in front of everybody, they'll come with lawyers, right? They got you. They got your back, right? We got senators down here. You know what I mean? We got speeches. We'll write a new law just to protect you. You get coronavirus? Wow. We just don't have the resources.
yeah, no, but like what I'm saying, like if you're ready to do that, you're like so gullible, you'll fight for the establishment. You know how they treat veterans too, right? In the U.S., for example, they don't treat them
We
well.
got. Oh no, we got a letter in the mail that our medications won't be coming.
Yeah, so that's an example. The veterans, and
No shit.
you fought hostile people. At least you were made to believe they were hostile to
Yeah,
you. So
they were just people defending their homeland. Don't.
yeah, see, if they know you're gullible. Yeah, okay, this is the gullible kind. We're not going to give them health care or whatever. These veterans, like yeah,
Yeah, not even mentioned in the fucking. Not even mentioned in the bailout. Not even mentioned.
So they've sent that letter out. Yeah, I mean, haven't heard anything like that on the news.
Yeah, they sent a letter out that they're behind on all of their medications. This was for Grandpa's heart medication. Uh, and they said, yeah, unfortunately, they're behind and they're going to try to get out everything when they have time, but they won't be coming until then.
Jeez.
And that's not, you didn't think that maybe you should make sure maybe there's other things that you don't need, like, we won't send you your vitamin D, right? But, heart medication, antidepressants. Oh, I do take, yeah, I take that back. It's a PTSD medication that he's on. And yeah, man, like, they're not even worse. So you sent people to, and that's where people are like taken care of. You sent people to lockdown with PTSD and then won't provide them with medication?
Yeah, what could possibly go right?
yeah, that's gonna be fucking awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely shit, like they really don't care. But I mean, like I was saying about the police department, like that police department has tanks. They've got, what I mean, as much body armor and bullets as you can imagine. Every gun you can imagine, all the way down to like, grenade launchers. Right? But then when they called and asked, can you guys get us some, some masks? They said, fuck no. If you need bullets, we can help you out.
I mean, they're lucky they're dealing with a population that's fairly stupid because, I mean, if you tell that kind of crap to anybody with a brain, like our panel or, most of yours, they're going to think you're full of shit when they hear something like that. But for the average population, it seems to pass. They go, oh, okay. That's kind of the end of it. Yes.
Yeah, there does. They just like, I don't know. I mean, is it that people are like looking for, even though they know it's not true, like they can contemplate that it's backwards. But just for their own like peace of mind or security in the world that they live in, they choose to ignore it. I don't like I can't imagine somebody still after this long still buying it.
They keep pushing it. I'm just amazed that that's what I mean. I'm really surprised. Most people are as compliant as they are.
Yeah. Well, insecurities also make you want to keep it as it is right now. You have a status quo, and even if you lose like small parts of it all the time, you want to keep it as much the same as it is for some reason. That's what fear does with you. You want to keep your situation you're in because you're afraid it will get worse. And yeah, you're accepting these small little changes that actually hurt you. Like, it's very sad.
I guess bottom of that scale, and the people that I know are at the bottom of that scale. So the status quo is not working for me. The status quo is oppression. The status quo is death and destruction and pollution, right?
Yeah.
I just, if you were at the top or maybe even in the middle, it would be a different environment. The status quo gives you, solace. But for me, the status quo is a nightmare. The status quo marks us as terrorists.
Yeah, well, it is the German propaganda minister in the World War II said, Goebbels, he said you have to do it with thousands of tiny steps. You can't do it at once because people will revolt against you, against any dictator, against any state. You have to take tiny little steps, 1,000 little steps, and take everything away from them like that.
I think we're definitely moving pretty fast down that track. I know that, you guys were saying they wanted to legalize some more monitoring. But I mean, some of it with cell phone monitoring, they already pushed that through. That was passed with the relief bill. So that's why, I mean, they can monitor every single person's phone, who you were near, where you went, all of it, so that to help fight coronavirus, which, I mean, again, like you were saying, it's the same trick. Like, as soon as they said this is a national emergency, you should have been like, oh, let me guess, you're going to need us to give up some of our rights and know who who we're talking to. This is standard. Any emergency, ISIS, terrorism, space ISIS, right? Al Qaeda, no matter what it is, their answer is they're going to need to monitor you a little bit more. Just going to need you to give up one more right, for security. It's an
Yeah,
emergency.
yeah, but that's the herd mentality, like a pack mentality, a wolf pack mentality. Like if the herd is threatened or the pack is threatened, the people will look at the alpha. The alpha is the leader, like the highest in command, to protect them, and they will give up rights to these powerful people. Like, they would never give it up if the pack wasn't threatened. So you have to always keep them on the threat. Like even like a cult works like that. You have to always say like we have the truth, but the outside is constantly threatening us because we have the truth. And every little threat against the cult is evidence of your story. Every little threat.
They're really feeling at the moment. We are, I mean, at the moment, in all reality, America is being threatened by absolutely nobody. Right? There is not a single country that is threatening us at all. Like everybody else is called, even ISIS called for a ceasefire.
Yeah, of course. Because they don't have an army of millions, and they don't have nuclear weapons and all these things. Like, of course they want a ceasefire. Like,
But I mean, there's no U.S. interests that are being threatened. There is nobody pointing nasty weapons at us. There's absolutely positively nothing going on, and yet they still push this reason that they need to fucking have us give up our right. We need to attack Venezuela because of the drugs. Well, you sure maybe Colombia isn't the place you're looking for? I thought you were trying to stop coke. Like they're not even the largest producer of drugs in the area, but yet we're gonna go to war with Venezuela one way or another.
yeah. Yeah, Venezuela has no standing army to even challenge the U.S. on anything, so they're not a threat.
We are under no threat. I mean, at all from Venezuela. Like not even a little tiny bit.
No, and there isn't any army in the world that's capable of challenging the U.S. and that includes Russia and China. They're not going to do this. They are, of course, they're going to protect their territories and these things. They're allowed to. I mean, yeah, they're not going to invade the U.S. It's impossible. Everyone in the U.S. has a gun. Like, you have free gun rights. Like, no one is going to invade you.
Everybody.
Hey, did you see what happened in the chat room? You guys looking at the photo I showed you?
Oh no, I haven't. Everybody has a gun. On top of that, Sergey does not want to live in Arizona.
Yeah, that on top of the Red Cross truck that was stolen yesterday in Riverside, California. There was a guy that tried to run a fucking train into the fucking United States USNS Mercy, the hospital ship, yesterday.
I don't think you would set the ambulance one on air. I think that was before the show started.
Oh yeah. So in Riverside, California, it's a bunch of tweakers, or supposedly tweakers. They fucking stole a Red Cross trailer. Yesterday, a guy tried to ram a train into the United States naval ship, USNS Mercy, which is a medical ship. So,
What? Does it give a reason, or is he just a
he thought that the medical ship had an alternative purpose, so he said he was trying to wake up people.
Oh Lord. Well, I mean, you had said there were some, we saw a lot of suicides in Wuhan, people jumping off of buildings. We saw a lot. I haven't posted any of them. I saw one in LA. Was it LA or New York from yesterday?
This is yesterday. I heard about the trailer being stolen in Riverside this morning.
Oh no, these are the suicides, and I don't post them just because I don't see the point beyond somebody's shock value or clickbait. But there's been a lot of suicides of people in lockdown, taking their lives, jumping out of the buildings.
Well, domestic violence is on the rise too.
But people are locked in their houses with absolutely nothing. You guys didn't legalize marijuana. People are people are feeling the pressure.
People are some people they get freaked out. They think the government is like looking to kill them or whatever. But I don't think they're grasping how propaganda actually works. Right now, the government or like the people in power, they wanna look like they are the saviors and the protectors, and all eyes are on them right now. There are 2 hospital ships in the U.S. I think, like in Los Angeles and in New York, if I'm correct, and all eyes are on these ships. They're going to do everything they can to look like they are the super protectors and doing the super best for everyone. So these are the last
Well,
things you should worry about. So
we
yeah,
need to get them some capes and some Superman outfits. That's what they need.
yeah. But that's how they want to look. That's what I just explained. The cult mentality. There is a fear, and they want to be the saviors. They don't want to be like the boogeyman on this. Their purpose is to create obedience and surveillance and all these things. So that seems pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, I mean, and there is, guys. I mean, you're gonna have to. I know it can be hard sometimes, being especially in our groups, and that so many people, are activists and protesters and organizers and all of that. So they definitely feel like their wheels are spinning. They should be out in the street doing something. The things that they were fighting didn't go away, but you're gonna have to step back and put. There are things that are the government trying to kill you, and there's things like viruses and pandemics, and you're gonna have to wake up and rationalize the difference between the two, right? Not everybody that smiles at you is your friend, not everybody that frowns at you is your enemy, right? So you're gonna have to put a division between the between your activist part and the truth and reality of things that are going on in the world around you that have nothing to do with that. So this stay-at-home order is separate from the surveillance state that we're fighting, and other kinds of ways of controlling us. This really is being done for your own safety, and they're not doing it to you. They could care less if you go out and die. You got to save yourself in this, and doing that, puts you at home. If you're one of the top activists, if you're somebody that really was out in the streets and doing this, I would be extremely careful. They want you to come together with people that have coronavirus. Realize that.
Yeah, and like if you're going to be worried about what your government is doing, there's the things they're doing in secret. You can worry about those things. There's a lot going on in secret and a lot of dirty stuff. But things like hospital ships, these are in the public eye, and they are doing everything. Like, the rest of the world doesn't have hospital ships, so everyone is looking at these hospital ships, and they're so impressed by it. And the government is using these as banners, promo banners. These to ram this with to try to ram this with a train is sounds just very dumb to me. Like,
Well, I mean that works great on Americans because they get a hard dick when their military equipment gets paraded out like that, man. That's like a raging boner for like half the country.
Well, because we don't have very much else to be proud of anymore. So, I mean, our military is all we've got. So a lot of people, their whole their whole persona in being American, because we've removed everything else. We're not top scientists. We're not the smartest. We're not breaking the atom. We're not going to the moon, right? We're not making computers. All of the things, that we used to be so industry, we've fallen way behind, right? We used to be the top on so many things, and now literally all we have left is our military. So when people are getting like extremely offended, it's because they've got nothing else to be proud of.
yeah. Oh, when you see this troop movement, you see these Abrams tanks, for example, you think like, yeah, okay, these tanks are not going to protect you against the virus. They're not going to do. This is just to show, like, we are in control. We are powerful. Like, don't worry. We are the leaders of the cult. You are all safe. It's like, go to bed, and we'll protect you. Like, yeah. Psychological warfare. It's very simple. They're not going to shoot these. They're not going to shoot at Americans, civilians with Abrams tanks. I doubt it.
I think some of the things, some of the equipment movement that you're seeing is just normal equipment movement. We, for absolutely no reason, well, for money, we move equipment from one side of the country to the other side of the country, the other side of the country, just to move it, just to do it. On top of that, we need things that are big enough they can't be gone around or moved, but also are movable so that we can block off bridges and roads, and all of that is roadblock. It'd take a lot of manpower to put down cement roadblocks. It takes almost none to park a tank at the road. But you also can't drive around it. You gotta stay in your house. But we're not at war in the normal sense where we would blow up the bridges, but we can park a tank on it and you ain't going across. Even if you want to.
Yeah, I think the word would be yet. They're not shooting at you yet, but just wait until L.A. or one of these big cities blows up. You're going to see a firepower display from hell, man. Yeah.
Or when, something happens and, we've got this storm coming from that might hit the East Coast, right? And they say, all right, everybody has to go to to the whatever dome. And you're all like, nah, I'm not going to be locked in with a bunch of people to, definitely get sick and fucking die. And when you say no, that's when you got a problem. Then that becomes, well, this is my authority. I've been given, rights I've been given rights to shoot you if you don't do what I tell you to.
Yeah, then they'll leave you like down there in New Orleans at the Kingdom with no food or nothing, turn everything off, and
well, and yeah, exactly. And they're making that situation now. They've kind of went around and toted all of this. Hey, we turned this, civic center into an emergency hospital. Oh, wow, that is awesome. Did you upgrade the sewage system for it? You ever been to one of those civic centers about 45 minutes into a concert? Every toilet in that place barely fucking works. How about the air recycling in it? Did you fix the air in it, or is it going to be 98 degrees in here in about a week? It just seems like they didn't think any of this through. Like, have you ever been to a civic center for a concert? Now imagine that concert goes on for 3 weeks. Right? Those places barely work for a one-night concert, and it takes another, it takes a couple of days to do the maintenance on it. But they threw a bunch of hospital beds in there and were like, oh, all done, see? Emergency hospital.
well, they taped it all off with blue tape, so you gotta have that blue line. That's very important.
The blue tape, that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, never
Don't mess
mind.
with that.
If they use the blue tape, man, we're good. We're good.
Blue tape, you put that right next to your blue line flag.
Oh, I mean, we are trying to, we do laugh and joke, but I mean, we got to keep our spirits up through all of this. It's a comedy in the sense of Shakespeare. This is funny in its absurdity in existence. If it was actual TV show, if it wasn't real life, it would be hilarious. This is slapstick quality, right? And we have to keep our spirits up. We have to take care of each other, right? People are going to be scared. We have to both, show them, look, these are the things you're probably going to have to worry about. And at the same time, we got to say, stay calm, stay focused, stay organized, and we'll overcome. It's a real hard balance to strike.
Yeah, I realize even if okay, this virus is very bad, right? And even if 10,000 or 100,000 will die from it, you have to realize that millions or tens of millions will still die from heart disease in the US. And cancer, you're talking about tens of millions. And the society will remain, right? But you have to actually, yeah, just keep calm and actually follow a smart protocol for yourself. That's what's important, I think.
Yeah.
I don't need the government to explain not to infect other people. Honestly, like, yeah.
Yeah, and if you would listen to them to begin with, right, you'd be fucked right now. You know what I mean? They said, it's all good. Don't worry about it. We got under.
Yeah.
And they said that all the way up into, oh my God, 200,000 people are going to die. That was, I mean, they literally went from those two extremes.
Yeah, they don't have to die from it. Just keep some distance
Oh, no.
from each other.
Not going to do anything to save them. They're not going to make any of the hard decisions to save them. The hard decisions being, making a getting a company and just producing them. As U.S. interest, right? Isn't that the word they use? It's not in U.S. interest to make face masks. You
So
know,
he
act
just,
like the child you want to kill in Yemen and spare no expense.
well, the whole thing's a joke. I mean, it's not a real response a real person who was logical would do.
No, no. And is it that they're so removed from our world, from reality, from the actual people, that the ideas that they're, coming up with seem rational? I asked every banker that I could, and they said, yeah, give us another $1 trillion.
Yeah, right there. I mean, so who were the essential people? I mean, they were the guys that got all the money first in the first few days before any of this other crap came out. I mean, that's their priority right there. I mean, it's just in front of your face. Who has priority, and the rest of you really don't count.
Well, yeah, because you figure those people that got taken care of right away, right? The 1.5 trillion that the Fed handed out, right? Those people got paid right off the bat. That's less than 100 people.
Yeah, and
And
you don't need to worry about the government or anybody getting in your way. You just go straight to your buddies, get the money, and you're done in a couple of days. You know,
yeah,
it's
and
not. It's very different than the world that the rest of us have to live in.
and then they do act like, well, then that's, I mean, you look at that first number from the Fed, $1.6 trillion, right? You're telling me you could not make ventilators and masks for $1.6 trillion? You could have saved the entire bailout with that. You wouldn't have had to have the bailout. You don't have to go through any of this because you've got all of the medical equipment you want. Easy, done. Should I go open up a couple hospitals for $1.6 trillion just on the way by? But we spent 1 trillion and got nothing in return.
Well, you got Mnuchin and his CFR.
But
They're happy. The
Kush,
financial czars are happy. The hedge funds are okay. Yeah, we're okay.
yeah, those were none of those people I gave a fuck about. And for the amount of money we spent, we could have done, I mean, anything. You give me $1.6 trillion, there's almost nothing I couldn't do.
They're literally a curse on this nation anymore. It's like
It,
every 8 to 10 years we just have to, take another round of abuse from them because we got over leveraged. We made bad bets. So fuck, you have to bail us out.
yeah, we got overrun. You screwed us on margin again. Like what you did that the last time, right? Wasn't that way we had to that's why the first stock market crash, right? We leveraged everything on margin. And you did it again, and we're supposed to bail you out again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you know how it is. We always need legislation so that this will never happen again. We're not going to do jack shit about it now, but next time will be a never again. And then there's next time, and it's like you're right back where you were. It's ridiculous.
Well,
This is not legitimate government. That's I keep saying that, but it's not. It's not legitimate government.
Well, I mean, you need to put, a cap would be fine, and they always say that their number one, focus is small business, small business, not small business. That's fine. No company can take more than $5 million, right, in a bailout from the U.S. government. None. Doesn't matter if you're a $1 trillion company, Fortune 500, no more than 5 million. If you need more than that, then you're gonna have to close, man. Break into smaller companies. But we need to put a cap. This is all you're getting ever. That's it. Spigot is closed.
Well, my thing is like, okay, where's the authority? Under what authority do you do that? Where was the authority ever given that banking in Wall Street was the priority and all this money is just available? I mean, so where does that authority come from?
I think George Bush. Because I mean, some of the founding fathers. I mean, I guess not all of them. Some of them were a little bit more capitalist, but none of them were this corporate into the corporate monster that we live in. They believed in self-funding. If you had a program or an idea or whatever, you had to pay for that yourself. You want to go to war? You better start buying guns, man. Right? So I don't know when this change came where a corporation became more important than even a single citizen.
That happened about 100 years ago. Seriously,
Yeah,
remember?
There
Remember?
change.
Yeah, it did about 100 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
Federal Reserve, 1913. Well, then the 1870s was when it became the U.S. corporation. That was kind of the corporate move. But you can. Where are the people that were defending your government and your country years ago, or even now? Where are they? It's like, how do you justify the shit that you are telling us every day?
they used to get it, and they still do kind of use. I think there was probably a little bit of a resurgence, in the neocon era, brought some of that back. But they used to just use the excuse that they were put there by God. Right? I know this seems fucked up. I know it seems like I'm stealing from you, and it seems like I'm murdering and raping people. But make no mistake, I was given this authority by God. And they played that for a while. We've kind of moved that like money and power still kind of equal godliness, right? That you're a good person or blessed because you have a limousine or a private jet, and not that you're a pretty evil corporate greedy bastard. And they're still kind of run on that, and I think a lot of Trump voters still kind of play on that. In that it's not that were just a gutless capitalist, that somehow God gave a shit about money. And they do put that on there, and that authority, that's where they feel they get it.
Yeah, I do see that prosperity gospel. I mean, that is more and more preached. That is a big one.
And it seems counterintuitive, being that God, Jesus, everybody was pretty clear on how the big man felt about money, but they all put themselves into that category. That not only is them being in power due to their hard work, but obviously divine intervention. Right? It wasn't that my dad gave me a couple $1,000,000 loan; it was because of God, and they do play on that quite a bit, and they try to play that as where they're getting their authority from. Even Marco Rubio tries to play that quite a bit, and that his hand is somehow guided by God. Boris Johnson gave a speech a couple of weeks ago too, where he kind of went off on a tangent that as I look into the future, I see the hand of destiny reaching to me. And it was weird as fuck because it seems out of place in today's world, but again, you're the elite put there by God, and they still do believe that. No, the unflinching hand of destiny is not reaching down to you. That's Goldman Sachs,
Yeah, pretty much.
right? That's Deutsche Bank. Calm the fuck down. It's a tall building, but no, not God, not even close. But they do put themselves into that light. Some of them get extra weird with it, right? They got to do a whole ritual so that some deity or God gives them more power and influence to not know that coronavirus is coming. I mean, eventually, and I think people are asking themselves, for all these people that said that they were in constant touch with God, not a damn one of them was warned about coronavirus. That's weird. Who were you talking to?
Oh god, getting tired.
I think, yeah, we were going to cut it a little bit short, but we got quite a bit of information that we're kicking out. Before we shut down, I do want to kind of ask everybody. We'll go through some ways to keep from getting coronavirus, but for the activists out there, brothers and sisters, we have to get our journalists and hacktivists and activists out of jail now. So
Jeremy's going to be out in a few months.
we need him to get out like tomorrow morning.
Oh,
Yeah, a few months might be too long already with this whole virus thing.
yeah, he's in Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, if look, we there's just especially when it comes to Assange, there's no threat to anybody. He's not a criminal at all. But if you're trying to paint him as a criminal, he is not a violent criminal. He is not a flight risk. You cannot get off of the island if you wanted to, right? You cannot leave island. There's no England, no planes leaving. There's no cars leaving, right? So go ahead. We have to continue that fight, and while you have time, you're at home, you ain't got shit to do, stick it to the man all day. Get on their Facebook, get on their Twitter, send them emails, call their offices, right? Fill up their voicemails. Like, give them no fucking rest until they get our people out of those fucking prisons.
Yeah, no, you're right. We need our journalists now, and especially we need our activists too. I mean, we need reliable reporting, and like with Assange in jail, for example, like WikiLeaks would be filled already now with all kind of leaks about uh, stuff surrounding this whole COVID situation. The government, what the stuff governments are doing wrong, and uh, it's weird. Like we need reliable information, and literally free press at the same time is under attack, constant attack.
Oh, I mean, so can you imagine even as this all started, because we don't have the reach, that WikiLeaks has. Even though, we were ringing the alarms, we informed everybody that we possibly could in December, right? Can you imagine if WikiLeaks was running that same story, the doctor in Wuhan of the outbreak? It would have stopped there.
Well, yeah, because probably it would be leaked to WikiLeaks.
Yeah, people would have known about it. They would have known absolutely positively everything that was going on there, because that's what they do, right? They expose the truth. They're journalists. But we had to fight a corrupt media system, a corrupt state media system, and then on top of it, our, corrupt media system. Very little real info got out. They wanted to run stories about um, uh, the there was a debate, and then some mudslinging back and forth, and fuck, I don't even remember what they were bitching about at the time. But yeah, they were involved in their own little back and forth, and completely ignored the truth. WikiLeaks would have went around all of that. People would have been, and that's what we were warning of. What happens? Not just that these journalists are in, prison and the horrible things, but the news stories that aren't getting out because they're behind closed doors. The lives that will be lost because they can't spread the truth. So yeah, we got to get them out, guys. Double our efforts. We're on lockdown. Now is the time. You've always said I want to sit down, send an email campaign, right? I want to, give them a piece of my mind. Now's the time. Call them up, give them a piece of your mind.
Yeah, definitely. And don't be afraid to speak out too. I mean, simple on social media. You can just like you post all kind of like posts about your private life and all of these things. You have no problem with it. Why not just make like a post about these journalists, whistleblowers too, and just asking for people to realize it. But just waking people up to it. Like it's not so difficult. If you can share your life stories with social media, you can do that too. These are
Well, and what we saw with some people that weren't particularly political, but that cared about the cause, a lot of the people that were doing makeup. Before all of this came out, that was one of the main groups that were speaking out against, Muslims being held in China, right, and the abuses that were going on there. And these were, men and women that were doing their, normal beautician stuff, eyes and all of that crap. And why they were sitting there, teaching people how to do their eyelashes. All of a sudden, they would start talking about, the abuses that were going on in China, and then they'd go right back to doing their eyes or whatever they were doing. And it was kind of a beautiful moment there. If you're doing a live stream or you're, getting some work, some information out on something you're doing, throw it on there. And that is how you make the perfect apple pie. Free Assange. Easy.
yeah, exactly. And why shouldn't you? Because it matters. It is your own human right you're fighting for. I mean, it is like not that it is just his rights to a free press or to be educated with the truth. It is the right of everyone. So if you don't defend him, you don't defend yourself. It's like you always have these examples, and they're going to use him to like have him like extradited and destroy your actual rights. And I am actually happy that more and more journalists are realizing it. They are joining. The protests are getting bigger, so to speak. But it's not enough yet.
No, definitely not. But, we have a real opportunity. Very rarely in our lives do we get a moment to sit back, think and do whatever you want. It's not like a normal vacation where you're off doing things, like you're stuck watching, Netflix and, doing your own life and whatever. But because of that, we have a huge amount of time to really get some stuff done that a lot of people wanted to. That you wanted to sit down and write this or get something off your chest or, like I said, speak out about things, and you work a 40-hour week. It just isn't going to happen no matter how much you care about the cause. You're on your feet for, 18 hours a day in a job. You just don't have the any more energy to fight for anybody. You can barely fight for yourself and your family. Well, now you have an opportunity. Let's use it. Let's do it. And the internet is the most powerful tool that we have right now. And I would argue at this very moment, the most powerful tool on the planet.
Especially right now, yeah, everyone is at home. Like, and while you're at home, you can actually utilize it. Like everyone is sitting behind a computer now, and you can reach out to politicians, to lawyers, to doctors around the world, and ask them to stand up for journalists and whistleblowers and our human rights. I mean, you can all do it together, and like you can push so hard with hundreds of millions of people at once.
Yeah, they can't get anything else done. Like, these politicians love their Twitters and love their, touting their social media. When they go and say something, anything, and all they get is free Assange. They want to do their fundraising and this, and they've got their own things, and they never even get a word. They can't speak. They do not control the internet. We do. The people do. And at this very moment, we can get the only way that politicians are getting information out to anybody is through their social media. So we need to be on their social media, and they need to be what we want to talk about, right? They work for us, not the other way around. And they got to get through that through their head. But I urge everybody, take this as the opportunity to get those things done. And then I think I'll shut the fuck up and leave it at that.
Yeah, maybe we should just mention what people should do to stay safe, to keep other people safe in the against this virus. I think.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that we can do is social distancing. That doesn't mean distancing from people. I urge people to be more connected. Get on line, make phone calls. Do all of that stuff to keep connected. With a tool that humanity has never had before in that way. I think that we're more connected now than we were when everybody was working. But number one thing that you can do is stay at home, avoid groups, only go and get the things that you absolutely need. Doorknobs and like push doors are a real dangerous spot. So if you can wear gloves, or even you've got like a disinfectant wipe, don't wipe the whole thing down on your way in, right? Unless you want to. Right, you totally, can spray it down and fucking go nuts, but just so that when you go in and out, you're not having that contact with the metal surface and where the virus could be. When you're going through the store, hands in pockets, right? Get what you need, and move on. Wipe things down that people touch often. If you're using a cart or trolley or something like that, just try to keep yourself separate from where the virus could spread. We're advising everybody wear a mask. What we learned in China is everybody needs to wear a mask. What we learned in Singapore and Taiwan is everybody needs to wear a mask. This is an airborne virus. So for everybody's protection, to keep droplets from leaving your mouth and to keep droplets from getting into your mouth, wear a mask. Wash your hands when you can. And, those are the top things that you can do to stop them. I would put on top of that, make sure that you're prepared, but you don't go into frantic buying. If you normally got, 4 cans of soup, get 6.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you should do it.
And just keep it so that you're not going out and buying just bulk amounts. Get what you need, and then a couple elks for the emergency. And then when an emergency does come, you're already stocked, ready to go. And if if it doesn't come, that when an emergency does come, right, you're ready. It doesn't matter what that is. The power goes out for a couple, for a couple of days, a flood, a tornado or hurricane or anything, you're sorted. You got it covered with a couple extra things in it. Um, and the more you can do that, the more you can be self-sufficient, the less you're A, having to interact with other people, B, having to interact with the government, and C, putting strain on the system. And I'm sure you guys have some too, but I think those are that's kind of the general ways to keep this as much control. I don't want to spread the virus to anybody. I don't want to get it, and I know that you don't want to spread the virus to anybody, and you don't want any to get it. And if we're both under the same, under that same impression, then we can survive in this world together without getting each other sick.
Yeah, and if you're worried about yourself and your health, and if you get and what happens when you get the virus, yeah, you have to remember just try to eat healthy too. I mean, take some vitamin-rich food for once, not just fast food. It might actually help you.
Yeah, you're gonna, and those things actually make it, because of the things that are in them, sometimes the antibiotics and other chemicals and stuff, they actually make your immune system weaker in fighting these things. So
Yeah.
getting good food, plenty of water, you want to get as many vitamins as you can into your system through food, but you can take vitamins, do your little workout. You don't have to go nuts. Get up, do 5, 10 push-ups, some jumping jacks. Don't go crazy, but just so that you're in the best shape that you can be to face this and face life. That's fine. But the better health that you're in, the better you can fight this off.
Yeah, because you're not dealing with like a heavy form of cancer or whatever. Only 2 to 3% of the people who get this virus die from it, which is still a lot. But you don't have you can actually do something to not die from it. So
Well, and the numbers that we got. I mean, work the statistics to your favor. You're in good shape. You got a better chance of of living. There's only 3 to 5% of people that are going to die from it. At least one of the people that died could have been avoided because they weren't smoking. Right now, not everybody that was smoking, could have avoided death, but at least one of them could. And if you're that one guy, right, that's a win.
yeah,
So, everything that you can do to give yourself the best chance and to give your family the best chance, you gotta go through it. And I think we'll all be better off because of it. After that first couple of days, you'd be like, yeah, I look a little bit better, feel a little bit better. Even if I never get coronavirus, I'm kind of liking this little extra bit of definition. But I
okay.
think we're going to fight this as individuals. The things that'll have the most effect are going to be the small thing. The tiny, the things that we can do as individuals, biggest effect when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I think what you said, like reaching out to people through like calls and video calls, also helps a lot. Especially older people, they might get lonely because of this, and some also might want to get out because of it. You can't be alone all day, but you can still call with each other, and you have social media and these things to actually keep in touch. And if everyone does it, it also removes the urge to go out all the time. We can last a few weeks indoors if we all still communicate with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Normally when people are, in isolation like this, they're isolated, and that's not the case anymore. You can not only talk to your friends and family and neighbors and all. You can talk to people all over the world in every corner of the planet. Geez, you can text to the space station if you want to. So we've never been more connected than we are now. Now it's not physically connected, but one of the problems that we're going to have is people emotionally feeling like they're cut off, like they're not, they're lives, were surrounded a job and what they do. That's part of who they are, proud of their job and what they were doing. So it's important for us through this to be there for each other and to keep that connection and talk to each other, and make sure we're all okay.
Hey guys, I got a dip. I'm falling asleep.
No, we said everybody on the entire panel has been nobody has gotten a break for the last 3 months. So I'm fine with cutting it a little bit short tonight, and it's not even cutting it that much short. I think we're only like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I did pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, let's say that people please help to share these episodes because, as you probably have noticed, we are still being shadow banned on social media. So, you guys helping to share this really makes a difference. And if you think there was anything important you heard tonight, then it's worth for you to share it. So, thanks in advance. We don't make any money with this. We're all like volunteers, and we don't have any ads. You probably saw this. So we're doing this for all of us as activists because we're supposed to do that. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Be sure to spay and neuter all politicians.
Dun, 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 dun.